That hurt.
I'm tuned in like crazy, and I'm pretending like I know what they're doing, and I'm,
Articulate and intelligent.
Gregg's a bitch. That's all.
I find them offensive as hell.
I've never been a fan.
Yeah, fuck that.
Terrible! Bad! Not bad! Oh, pretty good. Okay. Decent. Fair. Great. I loved it.
this sucks.
Yeah, you really gotta wonder how the stuff gets made.
Welcome to the Straight Red Card. We are back for a Thursday. Lots of stuff going on. It's the only show where stepsister is welcome. Always welcome to join you on the couch. Sometimes I watch our show on the TV these days because, I'm all connected with the, what do I have again? Roku. So Roku has YouTube right on it. So sometimes I'll rewatch her, but you don't get to see the chat. And that's unfortunate.
If you press down your remote, there should be an option. You might be able to get the live chat on there.
Really?
I think so.
I can
do it on the Fire Stick. So
okay.
And much like you guys and your stepsisters, you're not the only one scoring late.
Oh, Pepi did score late. Well, we'll get into that. I did want to make a correction from the last show. I believe I called Wellington English in the show. I did. But he's actually Anglo-Irish, which is not the same thing. These are usually English people who settled in Ireland in the 1800s. And, even though they were from England, they became like Wellington was born in Ireland. That makes them Anglo-Irish. So if you want to get specific,
I do generation.
And what's that?
It's the first generation.
Yes. So, yeah, we want to get into that because then we'll have this whole discussion about American soccer again and who's allowed to play for us. But I do also want to say, quote,
that's been running rampant with the whole the death thing.
Yeah, I know.
That's debacle.
But I also want to point out that Ridley Scott has gotten so much criticism. His movie has been panned universally. I mean, it's all over YouTube too. Just review after review after review. Every review I've watched has said the same thing I did. They botched this whole fucking movie. They make Napoleon look like the most negative. Like, why would anybody like that guy? Why would anyone like that dude? He is a clown. Right? Well, that was way later that we even kind of, conjured up. Maybe that was what his problem was. But I want to say this. Ridley Scott then came back and said, all these historians criticizing my movie, what do they know? They weren't there. What do you mean they weren't? They weren't there. No, you can still study history. Like there's documentation of what happened, you fucking clown. You fucking half-wit moron. So he's criticizing people that are criticizing his movie for not being historical at all. And saying, well, you weren't there, so you don't know. That's like saying, okay, well, I wasn't alive when we landed on the moon, so I guess we didn't land on the moon because I wasn't there. And I can't prove it because I wasn't there on the moon with them. So how can I possibly because we documented it, motherfuckers. And maybe the moon's a bad idea because there's a lot of weird conspiracy theories.
Yeah, have you ever been in outer space? How do you know the Earth is not flat?
But we do know, right? We do know. Don't even get me started. That during the Battle of Waterloo, Napoleon did not get on his horse, which he was prolifically a bad horseman, and grab a saber and charge.
I know.
And charge into the squares. That's the kind of bullshit that was added into the movie that makes it laughable. It laughable. That's not why he was a great man. He was a great strategist. He was a great tactician. He was a genius politician. He came up with the Napoleonic Code, which is still used all over Europe today, which means that, it doesn't matter if you're a prince or a commoner. We all have to live under the same laws. So anyhow, just a ridiculous. I had to clarify that.
This is playing into the same concept while also making me feel incredibly old. And if I feel incredibly old, I mean, I can't imagine what makes you feel here, but
well, thank God 9/11 didn't happen. I wasn't alive. Whoa. Yeah, that does make me feel old because
Makes me feel old. And I'm like, it makes me feel old, man. It's got to make you feel old.
God, I was like 30, somewhere around there. I was 30 actually. That's just crazy. Somebody else. Remember we asked the question, the best rock music before the Beatles?
Yeah.
And I know
Thank
that
you,
Larry's not going to like my response because I saw his response to other people who put it in the chat or in the message.
Is Zimmerman and the Longs?
No, Buddy Holly and the Crickets. By far the best, probably the best band.
Buddy Holly in there.
Well, you got That'll Be the Day when you say goodbye. That'll be the day. Then you got Every Day Things Are Getting, and then you got Peggy Sue.
Pegging Sue?
Peggy Sue.
Oh,
not pegging Sue. You and Evie have been hanging out too much lately. I know you're married and all, but Jesus, you're bringing your sexual activities into our show.
yeah.
All right.
I'm not the one bringing anything into the show. You're bringing it in. I don't even know how you found out. Got cameras in here?
I like your background. I like your gigantic microwave on the right side.
Yeah, right there.
You just put the live animals in it. Just the whole cow could fit in that fucker. And just hit what high?
It's a slow roast. I mean, they just think they're in a nice, heated room, and
that's so horrible. I didn't even put them in there alive.
Slow.
Jesus.
Slow cooking's the way to go, man. You want that meat juicy.
I think you need to kill it first before putting it in the microwave. That seems like a pretty horrible graphic death. So yeah, I mean it's a large microwave. No, really, where are you? What the fuck is this?
This is my bunker. I heard that World War III is starting, so I decided to go ahead and start.
It's not your bunker, it's Oprah's bunker.
No, I left Oprah's flat like last Monday. I left Monday night.
She kicked you out finally. She's like, you've been hanging out here for a few days. Got to get out of here. All right, but
she's like Brett, go back to your wife and children, make amends.
Yeah. How are all the things going on your hand and their
before we get into my end here? Let's cover the turd, just so I can get rid of the turd.
Okay.
Coming here.
Turd in the background says, welcome back to the Straight Red Card. TSRC is the first soccer show to have their 30-minute streams go 2 hours late. The greatest soccer show ever. They even get comments from a cameraman parody. Yeah, you got to learn how to spell your own name, dude.
Well, that adds to the effect, right?
I guess so. I'm pretty sure it's camera with ER, man.
I'm pretty sure it's ER, yeah.
Yeah, but that's all right. I mean, hey, lots of people don't know how to spell things. But their own name usually. They do know how to spell that. Okay. So we got that over with. And
here we go. Larry says, it sucks.
It sucks.
You never listen to that.
Buddy Holly,
House of the Rising Sun.
That was right. They were contemporaries. House of the Rising Sun, they were the Animals were contemporaries of the Beatles. If anything, I would say the Animals were somewhat influenced. Well, not influenced by the Beatles, but the acceptance of their music was influenced by the popularity of, the kind of pop music coming out then. You want to call it pop rock music or whatever. But the House of the Rising Sun is one of the best songs ever written. There is fucking no doubt about it. There is a house in New Orleans. I mean, the dude can sing. All right. So we agree and don't agree, Larry. Certainly the Animals are a badass
That's
band.
fine. Everybody can have their opinions on music.
Oh, I'm just saying, I think they were contemporaries of the Beatles. I don't think they beat the Beatles out. It's like when we mentioned the Beach Boys. They were contemporaries of the Beatles. They didn't preempt the Beatles. And,
When did the Beatles emerge?
You could probably start saying around 63, They're playing the beer halls in Germany and getting bigger and bigger. But, I don't think
the Beach Boys are 61.
But they didn't get bigger until later either. So the Beatles exploded in 63, 64, 65 would probably be more.
They were formed in 1960. So technically Beach Boys wouldn't have been before the Beatles anyways.
Right. And you can look up the Animals and Eric Burden And I doubt they are earlier than the Beatles either.
62.
Yeah. So they're all contemporaries. Buddy,
What I'm finding out here is there was no music outside of classical music before the Beatles.
no, Buddy Holly was before the Beatles. He was. Chuck Berry's before the Beatles. That's all late 50s. So,
well, yeah, I mean, given the fact that he died in 1959.
yes, exactly. In a plane. That's got to be the worst way to go. When everybody else was like, we're going to drive. He's like, forget it. I'm going to fly. All right.
Well, you know what? You know what? The parody is correct. It is AR, not ER.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, no shit. How could we be so wrong? I guess we don't often call him Michael Cameron. We're so busy calling him the turd in the background. We didn't
lovingly calling him the turd.
Oh, yeah. Loving. With warmth and affection.
Exuding from our pores.
Right. All right. Tell us why you're really down in the bunker. What's going on with your house?
Well, I got about a month. This last month, I got a notification from my my mortgage company saying that we noticed that you no longer have active homeowners insurance.
What?
So we're going to charge you a premium for X amount of months until you get new homeowners insurance. I'm like, wait, what? What?
That isn't something that just goes away.
Yeah, well, I know. So I had called. They're like, oh yeah, our people this department will get back to you in X amount or by tomorrow. Never got back to me, and then I'm me, so I forget, and then all of a sudden it comes back to me later. So today, I kept getting phone calls from we are farmers, because I went to online to get a quote just to see, because fuck AmFam right now, they're kind of on my shit list.
Once you get a quote, man, they bomb you.
Yeah, they do.
With phone calls. Yeah.
So I give all my information. I finally reach out to farmers and hey, here's my information. They took it. We'll get back to you in a couple hours with the quote. So then I call AmFam just to try to find out what the fuck and see if I can get a new quote or if I can get the original insurance renewed for whatever reason. They apparently... I had 2 claims on my house, water damage, both of them, within 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
And they said they claimed that they sent me a letter, which they never sent me a letter, and saying that we're not going to renew it at the end of your insurance period. You have to
what
call
a
back
racket!
Plan.
What a racket!
I didn't even know that it went out because here's the kicker: when I first moved to this house, I'd called to pay insurance on this house, and they're like, "Well, we've been sending letters to your house. What's the address?" And it was my old address. I'm like, well, I'm not getting those. They still had my fucking old address.
Yeah.
So I didn't get shit. And then I was on the phone with them for an hour and 15 minutes, getting passed around from department to department like I'm some kind of AmFam slut.
Yeah.
More.
Nice.
And then finally I'm talking to the same person that I talked to when I fucking called. I called my agent, and she was the one who started it. The passed me around, let AmFam take advantage of me all around. I finally got back to her, and she's like, "Yeah, you're gonna have to get insurance through somebody else because they're saying they can't do anything for you." I'm like, "Thanks for it." Hung up. I was so pissed.
What a bunch of fucking cowards! Insurance is such a fucking racket, dude. All they do is do their best not to pay for what you've been paying into.
Yep.
Forever. Those whores. Don't be tricked, people. Know that the whole insurance business is a fucking racket. That's what it is. And it's basically there to fuck you in the ass just when you need it the most. Even though you've been paying into it for me, I've been with USAA for a gazillion years. And I've never had any problems with them, but I have heard nightmare stories just like this.
The good news is with farmers, I would save $80 a month on my auto insurance.
All right.
So I'll at least come out of this saving $1,000 roughly a year.
Nice. No, that is good. That is good. I wish you could get USA, but as the former tight end of the New England Patriots says, you can't unless you have family in the military. That's how that works. All right. Well, sorry to hear that, but let's get on with the show. We got so much soccer shit to cover today. We're nearly drowning in it.
For a show with no actual fluff, we're starting the soccer stuff 15 minutes into the show.
I know. It's That's how we do it here, and we can't
Let's,
help ourselves.
Let's ease into the soccer information nice and easy with the new FIFA rankings.
All right, we are now down to 12th. We were 11th.
You went down one. Yep.
Okay. Where's Mexico?
14th.
Okay. Okay, that seems a little generous. That seems generous.
At least it's better though. They were like 9th and 10th prior.
Yeah, that made no sense. I mean, we've been beating the living shit out of them here recently.
Gotta pull this up
So-
while it's a fresh chat.
Thank you, Larry, for the $2. Does Charlie Davies have tax liens? I mean, he's always talking about living his Playboy lifestyle. I don't know.
Well, and as we're going to find out later, that's because he's on like 45 different podcasts.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll talk about that probably towards the end of the show, actually.
Yeah, absolutely.
So much to cover, guys. So much.
I think this looks pretty good. I'm surprised Belgium maintains that 4th. But okay.
Should Japan really be 17th, though?
I mean, who else in Asia would you put up there? Australia.
Oh, I'm saying they should be further
South
up
Korea.
the list, I'd imagine. I mean, Japan has been beating everybody for like since the World Cup, like 4-0.
Yeah. I mean,
Like,
surprised they're
Japan
below.
should be-
Surprised they're lower than Germany. I mean, Germany's been so fucking god awful.
Yeah.
I mean, it's shocking. In my lifetime, I don't remember Germany ever being out of the top 10. So pretty shocker. Looks like Australia's 25th. Who else from Asia do we
Is
got
it
here?
still Italy at 9?
Yeah.
And how do you miss the last 2 World Cups and still be in the top 10?
Well, I don't know how the count. I think it's over. Like the later, the further in time it is away, the less it counts
I get
towards
you.
your yeah.
It's a numbers game. I understand. I'm just saying how in the world do they not fall down into beyond the top 10, and then they can still be lingering there. But I mean, just like how do you not make the World Cup 2 years in a row or 2 cycles in a row, but still be top 10? I don't know.
But another argument for GGG supporters. There we are, 12th in the world. That's got to be on Gregg. Gregg did it all. Italy won a Euros. That's why. That's true. Good point, BMR.
I mean, it's the equivalent of us constantly beating up on Nations League and Gold Cups.
Actually, you get more coefficient points for winning the Euros than you do.
Sure, no, I would understand because it's a higher end tournament, if you will.
Right. There are teams with higher ratings in the tournament, and it is who you beat, right? Mm-hmm. So they must have our CONCACAF coefficient be pretty high, because even though we're the best team in CONCACAF, I don't even see Canada on here at all.
Dude, they've been shitting the bed since qualifying for the World Cup.
Yeah. So maybe they don't radar. But I mean, us and Mexico being at 14, that seems high. Seems a little high to me. Didn't Germany just beat us? I know that's not how it works, but still. All right.
Okay, so BMR is wanting us to talk about the ELO ratings instead.
Okay.
Try to see how different this is.
Okay. Are they more accurate, maybe, as far as where we are? Yeah, we're not top 10. That's probably realistic. Oh, yeah. Oh, my.
Wow, 28th?
Okay, that's not realistic. Sorry. No.
Iran's higher.
Mexico's higher.
Scotland's
Iran's higher. This is not better.
Australia,
come on. No. So parts of it are better, but
Mexico's
that part's
higher, weren't
not.
they? Yeah, Mexico's 24th, yeah.
And that should not be. I'm sorry. How many times do we need to beat Mexico in a row to get higher in this rating system?
BMR says the only reason we're low, though, is because of the Gold Cup.
Yeah, that's not fair. That's not even our real team, but I guess that's
They don't care about
the way it goes. Yeah.
Like you said, it's a numbers game.
I don't think it's significantly that much better. I don't think we're that bad. I don't think we should be hanging around near Sweden.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's tough to do make it a consistent numbers game because, I mean, you're looking at the U.S. If they do poorly in one tournament within CONCACAF, that's going to affect them. But I mean, again, keep going back to Italy with the World Cup. I mean,
we did just lose to TNT.
That's true.
I mean,
Very true.
I don't know how you. Anyhow, I also want to bring up before we move along. Tonight I am drinking. This is another
Put it in
tax
front of your
man.
body. Put it in front of your body.
There it is. My God, how do I get this close enough? Anyhow, it's another tax man, except this is brand new. It is a Belgian-style quad, aged in maple syrup barrels. Scares me a little. Maple syrup barrels.
I don't know if I've had that one.
It's brand new. 10% alcohol by volume.
Gotta say, I'm not a big fan of the maple syrup liquors. Like they do, like the Crown Royal maple syrup. I'm just like,
This has got to be subtle. This better be subtle. I don't want to taste like I'm drinking
you're drinking syrup,
some Aunt Jemima syrup or whatever. Oh, that's
whatever
not
whatever it's called now.
It's not called that
Something
anymore.
Mills.
I don't know.
It's got an old river mill on it now, or something like that.
Huh. It's not overly sweet at all. This is actually distinctly potable. I would give this a distinctly potable. This might be the best quad they've ever made.
Joey
yeah.
for $4.99 says FIFA rankings are just using Gregg cult logic. Just look at the record with no context.
Yeah, exactly, Joey.
Yeah.
You're right about that.
We're gonna be diving into that here in just a second. I know we dove into that last video as well.
Mm-hmm.
The Ma record argument, but
Oh,
we'll get into it a
God,
bit
yeah.
more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, yeah. In fact, let's move along. This is
Moving
used
along.
top 40. Whatever.
Real quick though, right foot left back wants to know where you got the drink, Derek.
This one I got at Big Red Liquors, which is
The
really
it's Taxman, right?
it's Taxman. Yeah, I don't know if they distribute outside of Indiana because they're an Indiana specialized microbrewery that only makes Belgian beers.
When you so with the microbreweries, you in order to classify yourself as a microbrewery, you can only you only have a certain distribution range, and then most of it is all like you can only make like 20,000 barrels or something like that, or maybe 40,000 or whatever the fuck it is.
Yeah.
If we had Mason on the show, he'd be able to explain this a lot better than I could. But there's a reason why companies like Sun King only distribute within Indiana, and then they have a new brewery down in Florida where they distribute as well.
Yeah.
But
And
it's all
this is
localized.
Bargersville, Indiana, which I think is just south of Indianapolis. Larry for $2. Thank you, Larry. Going to talk about worst FIFA ranking upset ever. You mean the last game we just played against Trinidad and Tobago?
It's
No,
gotta be the worst, right?
we already talked about it and ad nauseum, and it makes me actually sick.
Nauseated.
Yeah, we are. So what is this? It's been 9 months since Ernie Stewart
Let me zoom in a little bit for you. There you go.
left U.S. Soccer and became PSV's technical director. Since then, PSV has turned over half of the starting lineup, made a perfect 13-0 start to the Eredivisie season, 48 goals.
Hold on. I'm just giving you the full context here. There you go.
Survived the Champions League group. So, yeah, I guess Ernie's done a pretty good job getting Tillman on a budget, getting Dest on a budget. Pepi was a little more expensive.
But that's a long-term plan.
Yep. I think he's done a pretty good job there, and I wouldn't necessarily say that Ernie was the only problem at U.S. Soccer, but when he was with us, he was a problem. Ernie did bring the whole system idea to U.S. Soccer along with Gregg, and of course he gave Gregg his blessing. And then he forced all of the U.S. youth teams to use the exact same system. That's not good management, in my opinion. And it's one of the reasons Tom Ramos told Ernie Stewart and all of U.S. Soccer to go fuck themselves. And he fucked off to another job, which he didn't do very well. I guess he's managing in U.S. Soccer, USL, excuse me.
Yeah, I
now.
think so.
All right. So, but anyhow.
And another thing you have to consider, I mean, he was taking over the role at, what is it, sporting director, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. A sporting director or technical director, sorry.
At a club.
At PSV, which is already going to be one of the consistently one of the top three teams with the successful Ajax in the picture, of course.
With a system that they like to play, or Bosch likes to play.
And that's fine to do when you're at a club level. Again, we talked about this all the
Right.
time. We talk about it with Gregg, how we hate the fact that we're forcing our players into a system. Whether or not it works or not is regardless. It's beside the point. You're basically forcing players who may not necessarily be suited for that role to either be in that role or not be on the team at all. And you're doing it not only at the senior level, but you're doing it throughout the youth level too, and the women's game too.
And as a manager of a national team, you don't get to work with your players every fucking day of the week. All right? You get minimal time. It's really hard to infuse a system in that brief space of time, especially when you're adding and subtracting new players, although it really looks like maybe Gregg settled on, a basic 18 that they're going to be there if they're healthy every single time. And then the rest are just been kind of additions and subtractions.
Brian DeMarco says they haven't survived yet, have they?
I think they kind of did this week. Yes. They
announced they announced it that the Arsenal and PSV have moved on to the next stage.
Right.
Now, what Brian might be getting at is that it's pronounced Lens. Lens? How do you do that? Lens, the French team.
Lens.
Okay, it's just Lens. Okay.
Yeah.
It didn't sound very French, so
I thought you said Linz, which is also a team in Austria. So I was confused for a second.
Lens is apparently only 3 points behind, but apparently the tiebreaker in Champions League goes head to head, not goal differential according to BMR.
Right.
So there you go. That's why they've qualified. They actually said they qualified for the knockout stage for the first time in 6 years. So,
why do you think Bosch nearly pissed his drawers when that Pepi goal went in? Because, it wasn't just that they won the game. It's that they clinched to go to the next
they clinched,
round.
all right.
Well, they did.
All right. So the reason this got brought up is let me just close that out real quick.
Kevin Loyola. Ernie Stewart only a year ago was an idiot, a moron, a puppet of U.S. soccer. Today he's a genius by the same people who criticized him for hiring Gregg Berhalter or overseeing the entire. Well, we just explained. Why, Kelvin?
Two things can be right.
two things can be right. He was not a good manager at U.S. Soccer. No, he was an ass-kissing. He basically let Gregg do his thing. In fact, he was on board with what Gregg wanted to do. You can do that at a club. Doing that at a national team level sucks. And it's really short-sighted in the end. The players are going to change. And the system, if you want to call it a system or whatever, should revolve around your best players. It shouldn't be what the coach wants to do. The coach should pick the best players and set the team up in a way so they can succeed. Not who are the players that fit my system, Gregg Berhalter, the overseer of all things U.S. soccer. Yeah. So it's Kelvin, listen, it's just you're not seeing both sides of the coin. That's all.
Apparently it's not pronounced Lens.
Yeah, Lunds. Pronounced like Lunds. How are we saying
I
it?
said Lens, you said Lens.
Oh, did we say lens?
Yeah.
You said Lintz. I said Lunds. Okay, it's technical.
Who cares?
Yeah, who gives a shit?
We're talking about a French team. Who cares, guys?
In league.
But yeah, people are getting bent out of shape about the whole Ernie Stewart comments and stuff, because the fact of the matter is, as we said, he didn't do a great job here.
No,
and now he is doing a good job there.
Yes.
Now again, we've added context to the sense that yes, with the club you can do that type of shit, but he's also with a very good club in that league,
and they're different jobs.
It doesn't take a whole hell of a lot of inclusion, mind you. I say this, but then Ajax is sitting there bottoming out the league, not quite bottoming out, but they're playing bottoms to a lot of the team at least.
At a club team, you can build a team. At the national level, you get what you got. We can't go out there and recruit Messi to come to the team. It's not how it works. They're two totally different jobs. He's good at one of them. He's not so good at the other. That's nothing. And that doesn't mean it's better to be silent. No, you need to be silent because you're not thinking, Kelvin. You're not thinking. You're a black and white dude. It's either black or it's white. It's either a 0 or a 1. No, there's lots of gray areas. there's what's called context. There's a context for making decisions. There's genetic listen, there's all kinds of ways to build whatever narrative you want to build. But if you're going to live in a black and white world, I think that's a shallow world to live in, quite shallow. You need to wade out of the shallow end and get into the details of the matter. Why is he so much better at PSV than he was at US Soccer? Look at it that way. Ask yourself that question, Kelvin, and then try to do some research before you post stupid shit like this.
Well, again, and paraphrase, I guess, the ultimate factor here is that at the club level, he's able to go out and say, I want this guy, I want that guy.
I want this guy.
A little bit of somebody brought it up. It's not a buffet,
Right.
With the U.S. men's national team. It's like, well, Pulisic and Way are injured. Let's look at our depth. Who can we bring in? Oh, okay.
Right, exactly. And he's got who managing the team? Bosch. If you want to put managers on a level, I'd say Bosch is an 8 and fucking Berhalter's a 3. It's a totally different thing. But the problem is Ernie helped pick Berhalter along with Berhalter's brother. So, yeah, he was an idiot. He was a moron when he was leading the U.S. Soccer. He was a fucking idiot. I'm sorry. He's not. He's just good at one job and not good at the one he was at before.
That actually takes us. Yeah. Real quick, Broken Furnace says, rant number 1, 50 Shades of Grey.
Yep. It's called context for criticism. Learn it. It's amazing how many people live in a black and white fucking world where you're only good or you're bad. How about you're good at one thing but bad at another thing? Have you ever thought of that? Fucking idiots. Jesus. Sorry, I know that we've had conversations with Calvin before, but that one, maybe you should be silent. Like, that's what broke my camel, all right, his back when he says maybe it's better to be silent.
He has a lot of unique hot takes. He has a lot of unique hot takes.
Don't ever tell me to be silent, motherfucker, or anybody else. All right,
so
go ahead.
going with the same initial tweet, talking about Ernie at PSV and how he's doing compared to US Soccer, started a whole thread conversation, and Julius Caesar here talks about the red flags that how was it him who's been? Yeah, he talks about how Ernie Stewart was about to re-sign him the following cycle, most likely, even despite the fact that there were red flags that cycle, and it came up.
Probably, yeah. He was going to re-sign him.
Zoom in. There we go.
There's my response.
So Andrew Detmer, who's BYBer.
Yeah. Oh, that's unfortunate that he's a part of our organization that we started 10 years ago, 12 years ago. God,
a long time ago, it feels like
13 years ago. So Andrew Detmer, let me read it like Michael Cameron would read it, because that's what Andrew Detmer sounds like. After taking over one of the youngest teams in international soccer, racking up the best record of any long-term U.S. men's national team manager, and advancing to the knockouts in the World Cup, he's not a failure. He's a massive success. Yeah. Again, people just live in a fucking dream world. They live in a world of non-contextualness. That's not even a word, but that's what they live in. Like, do they research any of what they're going to say? Does it matter to him that all we've been playing is CONCACAF teams most of the time since Gregg's gotten there? Does that matter for anything? And then when we don't play a non-CONCACAF team, we get our ass fucked. And by the way, we just got our ass fucked by Trinidad and Tobago. Okay, it wasn't all his fault. It was Death's fault too. But seriously, the whole team collapsed. What kind of leadership is that? So
we've had this conversation when it's like the best record of any long-term U.S. men's national team manager, because we're not looking at context here. You brought up the fact that he played predominantly CONCACAF. Now, some of that's not his fault.
It's not.
Nations League has absolutely raped the idea of doing quality international friendlies. We don't have the opportunities now.
Right. It's not Gregg's fault, but let's not puff up his record.
Exactly. That's the point I was going to make. It's not his fault. He has to play the teams who are put in front of him at this point. But let's also not stroke ourselves to the fact that he's
stroke ourselves. He's stroking Gregg. He's not stroking himself. If he's stroking himself, that'd be more acceptable. But he's out there stroking Gregg's short little stumpy cock.
Oh no, I was saying he's stroking him. The royal we, if you will,
The royal we.
are stroking ourselves to the fact that he has the most winningest record ever. You know,
God.
so I was in a conversation because context matters, and it always seems like whenever people say context matters, they're always adding the context that basically builds up their argument. And this happened earlier, where it was like, like he doesn't play any quality European or South American team in friendlies or whatever. And then somebody brought up like, hey, yeah, that's not adding a lot of context, old Nations League, et cetera, et cetera. I'm like, yeah, but both of those points build up towards the anti-Berhalter regiment there, the argument. And I don't know, it was trying to think where I went with that conversation, because I talked to you about this earlier. But I can't remember what it was about now. Shit.
Oh, can I add something while you're thinking about it?
Hmm?
In all of our days, somebody asked us, by the way, who started the name the Straight Red Card. I think it was me. And I had the logo already as well. But that was a long time ago. So I was like, I don't really remember. I think it was me. But that was all the way back. And when we started the show, 2008, 2009. And of course, yes, we took the long sabbatical once that show ended. But point being, in all our years, especially significantly through the Bob Bradley years, we were critical of all the managers. Maybe not as critical not as critical, because Bob Bradley wasn't a systems punk ass bitch. All right. He had a game plan, but he wasn't a systems merchant. But we criticized Bob when he had bad games and when he had bad game plans, and we criticized the players. This isn't something new. It's not that we just hate Gregg Berhalter. We don't hate Gregg Berhalter, by the way.
No.
As a person, all right? And we never hated Bob. I was disgusted by Klinsmann, but that doesn't mean I hated Klinsmann. I liked him inherently because he's German. That's kind of part of
impartial bias there already.
Right. But I hated some of the stuff he did. I didn't hate him as a person. So it's not about haters or all this jargon bullshit people talk. Not about hating. It's just about having a critical eye and seeing what's going on. And yeah, I mean, we get some inside info as well that backs up what we've been saying about Gregg. So it's.
I appreciate you bring that tangent up, because it did remind me of what I was supposed to remember to
go
say.
for it. Yeah.
In that conversation, we got into the whole the anti-Berhalter crowd is constantly just dragging Berhalter down regardless. And I made the comment, I was like, well, actually, in the anti-Berhalter crowd, there's always going to be some out there that will be forever anti-Berhalter, like Berhalter get out, Berhalter out forever. Doesn't matter what he does.
Yep.
He can win the World Cup. Those people will probably still be pissed off at him.
Well,
that's their opinion, their take on it.
That's pushing it, but yeah.
I know, I'm a little exaggerated there. But the issue was that I brought up, I'm like, well, I feel like even a lot of the anti-Berhalter crowd at this point in this cycle has given Berhalter props at points, been critical at points too.
Right.
But they've also been very critical of the players and their performances.
Yes.
And I got a response basically saying like, well, I have never seen that. So clearly, I'm paraphrasing here, but you must be token up on something or something like that.
Right.
Not like that, but I mean, ultimately I was like, well, you know what? I feel like Pete, Tact, and our audiences that there's a consensus, while we may disagree at times in certain aspects of what we're talking about in this sense, but there's been a kind of to some extent a positive take on some of Berhalter's decisions so far.
His rosters.
There's been some negatives too. Lineups are good. Lineups have been good.
We've criticized the players.
Our player management has been bad.
Yeah, rosters have been good, but we've criticized the players too. We don't say it's just Gregg. Not those last couple games. That's not just Gregg. That's also the players. They didn't come out to play.
Sure.
And so, and then this guy told you, oh, well, I don't watch any of your shows.
Well, that's the thing. Yeah, he's like, yeah, I'm not really into the YouTube and podcast thing. I'm more of Reddit and Twitter and stuff. I'm like, well, that's kind of on you, because we have an entire show. We start the U.S. Men's National Team Council. We even started the show off of, hey, since it's supposed to be a quick show, what's the one thing that you've liked of Berhalter so far?
Right. We start
And we
off with
gave
a positive.
positives.
Yes.
They were all positives. They weren't backhanded slaps or anything like that.
You can't come at us on Twitter and say you're all just negative when that's just fucking not true. Evidence shows. There is evidence that shows when he does something good, we said he does something good. Picking the rosters, that was a positive. Changing the formation to a 4-2-3-1, that's a positive. The way we played, not a positive. Your adjustments during game, not positive. But to say it's all just hate at this point is just silly. It's gotten to the point where people just assume that you're on one side or the other and you have no context, and that is just not true. I don't hate Gregg Berhalter. You don't hate Gregg Berhalter. Pete does not hate Gregg Berhalter. Dak does not hate Gregg Berhalter. Well, maybe he does. No, just kidding. The whole point is we have to hold this team to a standard. And right now, Gregg's not living up to the basic standards that DJ and Hudson took this team to when he was gone. They had a higher level. They were at a higher level with this team. There was progression that was obvious, and it was consistent. Since Gregg's come back, we kind of gone back to Berhalter ball in some games, and it's not looked good. So anyhow, I mean, we can talk about this till we're blue in the face.
Sure. Al's got to watch his mouth when he says this.
Brett should change his name to Soccer Dad in Indy. Ooh.
A lot of people have already figured out basically who I was talking to, but I think a lot of people just watch my timeline. But
it's not personal against that guy.
No, absolutely not. I mean, the consensus of the chat right now is not a big fan of his, but I have no problem with the guy. I mean, we disagree on things, we agree on things. It's fine.
It's not like he told you need to not have an opinion. You should shut your mouth like that other twat earlier on. Like, those are the kind of people, like, maybe it's better if you're just silent. No, maybe it's better if you learned what fucking context is, you anyhow, bedwetter.
Yeah. The big takeaway from all this that I took, because I remember a tweet from Tact earlier this week where somebody had said, or maybe it was a comment on the U.S. Men's National Team Soccer Council, I'm not sure which, but basically said, I can't believe that Tact, you're only at 40,000 subs. You should be at a lot more than this. And he's like, well, it's a niche audience. We could probably grow some more, but I don't know how much more we're going to be able to grow. But it just shows me, it shows that there are still a lot of people out there that just don't do the podcasting aspect that are out there that might listen.
No,
we just haven't been able to reach everyone.
That dude was on Reddit. If you're on Reddit, God help you.
Fucking Reddit.
God help you if you're roaming around Reddit, because that is the most pro-Gregg cocksucking group of motherfuckers ever on the planet. It's just true. Well, there are probably more groups than I know about, but I'm certainly not going to Reddit to find my soccer news or opinions that matter.
Brian Marcos says 51K, nothing to sneeze at. Dude, I would love to be at that level.
Yeah. I mean, listen, there's one thing of being at that level. There's also another thing. We realize our show is different from everybody else's. That if you don't have our sense of humor, you're not going to be able to hang with us, and that's fine.
But we got the best group of fans out there.
Well, we do, and we love you guys. Trust me, we do, and it's fun hanging out with you, and certainly fun being on Twitter with some of you, and exchanging thoughts and chucklehead ideas. So thank you for hanging with us. I think we have the highest per subscriber rate, per view rate than any show out there. I mean, we only have just over 3,000 subscribers, but our show gets usually around 2,000 views by the end of the week. So that means 1/3 of our audience is showing up and watching our show. So, no, Jack, we're not monetized. We do that on purpose. We swear too much.
Yeah, I would say some of the content we say, and then the fact that we swear too much definitely hinders our ability to have ads anymore. Yeah,
basically, YouTube told us, hey, after a while, we're just wasting our time trying to monetize our shows, because they're like, no, you're too raunchy. Yeah, subject matters.
So it's different. It's different. Yeah. Like say we get a super chat, or if we ever end up doing members only jackets and shit.
Right.
We need to bring that back, right? We need to have like TSRC members only jackets.
Oh God, we got T-shirts. Buy those.
But yeah, if we ever do member streams, or if we ever actually just set up members in general, or we do get super chats. Those are two ways we can get monetized on YouTube without doing ads. And what I found is that they were still broadcasting ads, but our shows that were getting like 2K views were like getting like 89 cents a video.
Yeah,
I'm just like, no, I don't even want the advertisers to get the views for that shit. Fuck
yeah,
that.
and we were limited on the type of ads that would be on our shows. So because of what we say, like, there's no way Crest toothpaste wants to be associated with our Dirty Mouth show. So
as Derek's holding up a bottle of Vaseline and we're talking about the Wonder Boner first 10 seconds into the video.
Yeah, so there's that.
and our intro has the word fuck in it.
Yeah, we gave up. We just said fuck. We just got fuck over with in the first 30 seconds. So
yep, not worth it.
No, not worth it. But thank you for everybody that's doing the super chats, because that's allowing us to buy the new equipment. That's why Brett has a new camera.
I got my underground bunker.
Well, yeah, okay.
I got a sundial sand clock over here. I'm not sure how that works underground, but
I mean, you're not paying for our liquor, but you are paying for equipment. So thank you.
I would absolutely love to reach out to, say, a nice bourbon, especially if it's local. I'm like, I'll drink the shit out of that. I have a whole separate camera set up just for that. So there's always a bourbon bottle in our video. I'll do it. Just supply me with the booze. You don't have to pay me anything. I just want the booze.
We can put your address up. They can just mail it straight to you. Broken Furnace Recordings, $6.69. I think Tack's trying to steal our whole 69 thing.
Yes, I noticed that. Yeah,
he's always doing.
It's 1 minute away from 69.
Yeah, nice. That's what he says. Yeah,
we're culture creators here, Derek. We create all the culture.
I know. We've been doing that 69 shit for a long time. All right, that's why I'm here, Brett and Derek. A completely unique soccer show with humor, intellect, history, etc. Keep up the stellar work, gents. Hey, bless you, man. I appreciate it. And thank you for liking good music too, Broken Furnace.
Yeah.
Hey, and if you're looking to release an album like my last one, let me know. Even though it was released, it wasn't really, because Twin Mono and its subsidiary are kind of in the shitter right now.
So
not very active.
You're looking to release more albums, but not through your.
No. I want to re-release the current one. Yeah.
Okay.
Because
bigger question is, why not just throw it up on iTunes and shit like that?
There's a whole problem going on right now with this number thing that you have to have, that iTunes says we already have the number. My label saying, no, we never got a number. We're getting the number, official number for the album. It's a publishing number of some sort from you guys. They're like, no, I'm sorry. YouTube's already published your record. We're like, how is that possible?
YouTube has.
And so now my labels tell me I got to take down all the videos I have, because they assigned a publishing number to one of the videos that I created, which was one video for the album. So I don't know. It's very confusing, and my label can't seem to figure out what the fuck they are doing. So there you go.
Sounds like they're still back in the 90s indie mentality going on there. What's this new shit? New wave YouTubes?
Yeah, I don't get it, dude. Anyhow, if Broken Furnace knows anything about this issue, let me know, because it's frustrating. I have several albums of songs ready to go. So, you're not a record label. You're just like your own personal label. Okay, cool. All right, let's next. Oh, thought you meant vice versa. Gotcha. Drop me a line. I have lots of connects in the industry. I will.
Furnace, unless that's your Twitter handle, why don't you just tag or DM Derek?
Yeah, if you're on Twitter, come find me, Boomer Richie, and we'll start a conversation.
Love the handle. The handle's best.
Yeah, thank you, Brett. Thank you. All right, next
I
topic.
did that while driving in the car.
That was hilarious.
You can't do this shit.
I remember I texted you. I'm like, why did you name me Boomer Richie? I'm not a boomer. Anyhow, my parents are boomers, for Christ's sake. All right, let's do it. What's the next topic? Let's get this show going because we got a lot of topics to go.
Curtis, it's not Zuckerberg who owns X. It's Elon.
It's Elon Musk that owns Twitter/X. Anyhow, our emails are published somewhere on the About section, I believe.
I think it's on our YouTube channel, but it's also on our. If anything, there's the. I think we still have our website technically, and that has our Abouts too.
Yes. So if you Google the Straight Red Card, you should see our website, which we haven't been on for goddamn forever, but also has our contact info. Jesse Negron, thank you for $4.99. When did you guys first start following the U.S. men's soccer team? I would have been, in the 90s. So I was a child. Is when I started covering it and writing about soccer in my mid-20s through my early 30s. So I was a soccer writer and journalist. And then, of course, we had our show in the early mid-2000s, I guess, 2007, 8, all the way through until about 2012 when we quit. Because we all had families, kids.
Life in general.
Well, we also had the soccer team we were founding. That got crazy. So we had to make a priority. We decided take a break. The break wasn't supposed to be this long. All right.
Oh my God. I'll answer the question in just a second. He goes, oh my God, just found your website. Your picks. Oh my fucking God. I think both of them have been in our intros at one point or another.
They were back. Yeah, but we were much younger then. Much younger. All right.
I don't know. I feel like I look better now. I look better as I'm aging.
Oh, I definitely don't.
Wine,
I definitely do not look better now.
I started really watching because again in the 90s there wasn't a whole hell of a lot of soccer broadcasted, and there weren't a lot of people talking about soccer being broadcasted. So even if it was like on ABC or Fox or something like that,
qualifiers were.
You never knew about it until this is rural Indiana, not knowing shit. But you really wouldn't find out unless you're just flipping through like, oh shit, soccer's on. Fuck, I'll watch this. You know?
Yeah. I guess for a lot of people it was accidental.
So yeah, for me it was 94. Is when I first started getting into it. Yeah, the World Cup, of course, that's gonna be broadcasted.
Yeah.
And even just when I say broadcast, I mean even just mainstream media, newspapers and shit like that. You're gonna see like, oh shit, the World Cup's. Oh, there's games here, then there.
Yeah.
So I was about 11 at that point, and so I was that's when I got into it.
So between the two of us, we've been probably watching almost 80 years of soccer. That's a lot of soccer. Maybe a little under, like 70, 75.
I was going to say Derek's covered about 70 of those.
Yeah, because I'm old. So, yeah. Brett was never a writer. I was, but we did.
I wrote a couple articles.
You did.
For OLS.
That's right. Yeah. So,
Fafa.
And then we had the big soccer show for 3 or 4 years. We were the official vidcast of Big Soccer. And that's why some of the people here actually have known us since those big old days. All right, let's move on to the next topic. Enough about us.
Hang on. BMR's asking if the email addresses are active on our website, and I'm trying to see what they are real quick.
I think yours is correct. I don't know about mine. But mine should be. It's
my Yahoo, man. That's gonna go to shit, anyways. I think a lot of the email will actually just go to our Straight Red Card website or email. Regardless, we have an email that you guys can just email us if you need to.
Yeah,
the Straight Red Card at yahoo.com.
We don't hide. Do you check that?
Not really. No.
Oh, you better. You better check that.
You used to do that all the time.
I don't know how to get to it. I don't know where it is at this point. So,
well, let's now that we're done talking about Ernie Stewart, let's branch away from Ernie Stewart, okay?
Please, let's do it.
And it's kind of the same same thing here. Before we even jump into this, just had a $15 super chat come through, so let's hit that up.
Is it Lon or Len?
Lon. None, right? Figured this out earlier.
All right, Lon. No, Len, thank you very much for $15. We do appreciate it. There used to be a 94 World Cup pinball machine at Hampton Beach, New Hampshire. No shit. Huh. I wonder what that's worth now.
That pinball machine was worth a pretty penny, hands down.
I'm sure not a lot of people played it, unless it had something neat about it that made it fashionable.
That's the thing about pinball machines is that it doesn't matter what the fuck was on it. People still played it regardless. Now, it's different if you were like back in the 70s where you had like an entire room full of pinball machines. Maybe everybody wanted to play the Kiss one or the Star Wars one, and maybe the Roger Rabbit one didn't get the best. I mean, Roger Rabbit was not in the 70s, but you get my point. Maybe that one didn't get as many of them, many people playing it. But nowadays, you walk into some place and there's a pinball machine, you're going straight over to the pinball machine.
I got a question for people out there. Anybody who knows pinballs, is there a porn-themed pinball machine?
Oh, come on. There has to be.
There has to be, right?
There has to be a Porky's pinball machine out there.
A porn one, like where, the chick's crotch is like a scoring point or something. I bet you there has to be one.
I would wager there has to be, yeah.
Yeah. I'm sure it wasn't in a local, convenience store. I'm sure it was in like a bar, but, whatever. Strip bar.
Popular, so there's at least a Playboy one out there.
Yeah. Okay. I'm sure.
Ron Jeremy porn machine.
I don't want to see that one. Yuck.
His
All
cock
right.
is the arms.
The paddles.
Yeah.
It's got two cocks, two paddle cocks. That's the ball. All right. The Berhalter cult is trying to rewrite history. Pepi is left out of the U.S. Men's National Team World Cup roster and nothing to do with his goal drought. He literally had from September to the World Cup 10 matches played for Groningen with 7 goals and 2 assists. It was just a coaching preference and a bad one. Absolutely. One that Gregg explained at the time. He took Haji Wright and he felt that Pepi was just another Haji Wright. So he needed somebody who could play a false 9 in a different setup. So he took Pereira. There was your explanation. What a load of shit. That's all I got to say. So
yeah, this is again where there are two things that can be right. Sort of. 100% agree with Tact on this. He's going into the World Cup. I thought he only had 6 goals and 2 assists, but Tact says 7. I'm going to go with Tact on this because I did maths quick on the fly. But going into the World Cup, he was on fire. Not with the national team per se, because he was on a year-long drought with the national team of not scoring a goal. From that Jamaica goal, where he got the brace, up until I think until he went to Groningen, he had like it was almost a year of not actually scoring a goal.
Right.
Now, that's an argument people are making, and that's a logical argument. You can say, like, he was on a year-long drought, but you know what? That year-long drought stopped, and he was bagging in goals for the shittiest fucking team in Holland leading into the World Cup.
And who saved Gregg's ass during qualifying?
Yeah.
Pepi.
Mm-hmm.
So if you honestly sat down at that time and thought Pereira was a better player than Pepi, then you were smoking some serious fucking whatever. Bad stuff. Then we get to Eurosnob. Listen, I don't know if Eurosnob is always this big of an idiot. I doubt he is. But it's these kind of compilations, these bullet point things. If you're going to do a bullet point, make sure all your bullet points aren't full of shit, or at least make sure all of them are on point. Because he starts out, okay, Ricardo Pepi crushed it in MLS, but who cares? He was awful at Augsburg. He never really got to play much at Augsburg. I can't say he was awful. He didn't get to play.
He didn't really get to play, but his time there was not encouraging, to say the least.
But Augsburg were awful.
True.
Then he went to an awfuler team, Groningen. Bad enough that he shouldn't have been near the World Cup squad, I guess. But then he's doing great at PSV now and improving enough that he should be Balogun's backup. He was awful at Augsburg and Groningen.
Thank you. I was going to say, you kind of glossed over that. I mean, I know you're maybe been returning to it, but you kind of glossed over at the point.
Yeah, Groningen, he was great. He was the only shiny thing at Groningen was Ricardo Pepi.
What was it, 12, 13, 14 goals or whatever it was?
He did great.
Something stupid like that?
He was good.
For a team that got relegated. Like, he was up there in goals. I mean, I don't know where he placed anywhere in the Golden Boot for that season or whatever, but still.
He was not awful. You cannot put down he was awful at Groningen. I'll even I'll go with you on the Augsburg thing if you want. But don't put in Groningen, dude. That blows your bullet point. That makes you look like you weren't paying attention at all.
Well, and he does go on to talk because everybody pointed out, like, dude, he had like 7 goals going into the World Cup.
Yes.
And he's like, yeah, but those were fake goals.
No, they weren't fake goals. They were goals he had to fucking earn because he's playing on the worst team in the league.
Yeah.
Fake goals? What are fake goals? Like your fake bullet point in the middle here that said he was awful at Groningen?
It didn't count because he was on a 12-month goalless drought. So those 7 goals before the World Cup don't count.
That's ludicrous.
It's a silliest argument that Pepe and this is happening a lot because people are like, oh, Pepe wasn't in good form going into the World Cup. I'm like, bullshit.
It's bullshit.
Massive bullshit.
And sometimes, God, be a little humble and admit you made a mistake. Let me tell you what. If Conrad starts racking up the goals in Segunda and then joins an actual real team and starts kicking ass, I will apologize for me saying you need to write his ass off. I will apologize for it. I will say I was wrong. Just like I said when I thought Zalalem was going to be the next greatest thing. All right? I fucked up. I was wrong.
Yeah.
Now, that's partially injury.
Thank
so
you. I
it's
was going
not
to say.
all my fault that he got so many severe injuries. But maybe, he's back now. He plays in Europe.
It's like
still.
that's on the same. That's on par with like saying like if you were hyped up on Ledesma, and you have to come out like, well, I guess I was wrong with that. Well, true, he didn't pan out, but that's also true that he didn't pan out because he was injured for 3/4 of his career so far.
Right, and I think I wrote him off too. And if I
yeah.
ever became wrong about it, I would apologize. I would admit I am wrong. Here's an opportunity for you to say, okay, yeah, I fucked up. I just meant Augsburg. I'm sorry I put Groningen in there. I looked at the fact. I looked at the stats. I looked at his highlights, and those were great goals on a horribly shitty team. So, okay, disregard that. Let's continue the conversation. That's all you need to do. Just eat it. Eat one every once in a while. Eat it.
Yeah, and here's the people like to rewrite history. Pepe went on a year-long scoring drought pre-World Cup.
That's not what we're talking about, asshole. We're talking about him scoring at Groningen leading up to the World Cup. How do you miss that? How do you not add that to your context?
Mm-hmm.
I don't get it.
U.S. men's national team versus Jamaica.
And so what? Ferreira scores against a goddamn bunch of island nations, and that makes him qualified for the World Cup. Did you see him in the World Cup? Do you think Pepe would have shrank like a shrinking violet? The way that Ferreira completely mentally was basically destroyed. He looked like he didn't belong there. He didn't want to be there when he was there. He looked totally out of his element. And you're telling me Pepe would have looked like that? I guarantee you Pepe would not have looked like that. Guarantee it.
The year-long drought, if I recall correctly, his last goal scorers with the United States nationally before the World Cup was against Jamaica where he got the brace. And it wasn't until much later where he almost went on a full year. That was October of 2021 when the Jamaica game was. And it was almost a year long at that point. And I don't know if he scored again since. You guys may have to correct me on this one, but so that would be the year long scoring drought. You're just looking at the national team and when he was at Augsburg, but you're ignoring the fact that he played 3 months at Groningen where he was scoring goals.
You're also ignoring the fact that every time Ferreira has been in a high-pressure situation, he shrinks from it. Look at the MLS playoffs, the season before the World Cup. He shrank. He wasn't there in mind and body. He was there in body, certainly not in mind. All right, and this is a guy, Ferreira, who's admitted that he faces and I have nothing against Jesus Ferreira. He is a lovely human being, but he has had those issues in his life. He has a hard time dealing with pressure. He's talked about it personally. If I'm going to the World Cup, I'm taking Pepe, man. 9 out of 10 times I'm taking Pepe. And I don't care if Pepe's the same player Haji Wright is, and they aren't the same player at all, by the way. So, all right.
Well, a lot of people. We talked about this last show as well when it comes to players like Reyna and Pepi and stuff, where we want the instant gratification. We want them being at teams that they're going to be starting for, playing for, etc. And I think a lot of people have been hounding, saying, well, if Pepe's not going to be starting, maybe he needs to get loaned out. Maybe he needs to go here and do that. But I think he's in a good situation where he's at right now.
Yes, he is.
Luke de Jong's not going to be there forever.
No.
And Pepe, all he has to keep doing is when he gets brought in at times, just continue to take advantage of those times.
And that whole thing where he left de Jong on and brought Pepe in to play as a second striker behind de Jong. Maybe that might give Bosch some ideas about how he can use them both effectively at the same time. I mean, Luke de Jong was still on the pitch when Pepe scored that goal. He was about 10 yards behind him. But Pepe was the one who saw that breakout. Well, he started the breakout with that heel pass out wide. And then he finished it. Ricardo Pepi, every day I learn from Luke, and that is important to me. It's a situation I should be grateful for. Surely, I want to play more, but at the same time, I have to be patient. I agree. And he's being very fucking mature about this. That's one thing you cannot put on Pepi. This guy is a grown-up. He's not a Conrad. He's not an Odasawi. You know, he's not going to break down. This kid's strong, man. And he'll be there. He'll get his time. He will.
So I'm just scrolling through a couple things here real quick.
And again, it's nothing personal. My decisions about players and where they are as players is not personal. It doesn't mean I dislike Conrad. It doesn't mean I dislike Odasawi. I don't know them. All right? But, I mean, you have to call it like it is. You have to. Why would I come on this show and just lie to people? If I would lie to you if I said that Ferreira was the optimal choice for the World Cup. That would be a fucking lie. And I could create a narrative to make it so, right? That Ferreira's the better option than Pepe. Why would I do that? Because I'd be forcing it if I did that. And that's what a lot of people do. They're forcing. They're lubing up the hole. They're squeezing shit in the hole that doesn't belong there, man. Ferreira, I mean, he's a good kid, but he's nowhere on the level of the World Cup. Nowhere close. And, you know, frankly, Haji Wright, even though he's doing well at Coventry right now, probably wasn't anywhere near it either. And some of that's just an eye test. Just watch motherfucker play. And I'm sorry, but
might trigger some people in the chat. That kind of comment.
What?
About Haji not being ready.
The Turkish league is at its, well, I mean, outside of Galatasaray right now in Champions League, which is shocking, but the bottom half of the Turkish league is at its all-time low since I've been alive. So if you want to, I'm not going to compare leagues. It's a useless thing to do, but I mean, him scoring, Pepe scoring for Groningen on what was just a god-awful fucking team. That has to count for something. It has to. Brett, respond to my chat, says Daniel Dreamer. Ricardo Pepe, every day. What? Respond.
No. It was just funny. He's just like, hey, respond to my chats. I'm like, all right, I'll respond to the chat, sure.
We don't know anything. Larry, Derek, you were full of shit. Larry, you're full of shit. Actually, if we document how much you've been full of shit about a lot of different issues because you are so one-sided on everything, then, yeah, I think you're more full of shit than I am. And I may be occasionally full of shit. I agree with you on that, but not on purpose. I'll just tell you, I do like Haji Wright as a player. But if you're telling me if I'm picking Haji Wright or Ricardo Pepi going to the World Cup, I'm taking Ricardo Pepi. Now, that might be personal preference. That might be my bias against the Turkish league compared to Holland. Yeah, okay, I guess it is. But that doesn't make me full of shit. That just makes us not on having the same opinion. And there's nothing wrong with that. And that's okay. You can respect Haji and what he's doing in the Turkish or what he did in the Turkish league more than I did. But I respected what Pepe was doing at Groningen on the worst team in the league. So that's just a matter of opinion there. And maybe that's a flip a coin situation. But I know it's one thing. It's not because I'm racist. So let's just get that out of the way right now. What about Chandler? He doesn't play. If anyone was the biggest Chandler supporter throughout history, it was me. I was the one supporting Chandler. I was out there talking about how Chandler needs to be on the team, blah, blah, blah. But at some point, I stopped doing it because it's not worth it. A, he doesn't play. He didn't even make the fucking bench today. Not even the bench. Yeah. All right. He didn't. Aaron Paxton Aronson. Oh, all right. Well, whatever. Listen, I mean, I have my own personal connections to Jimmy Chandler, which is why, you know, I supported him for so long. It's a personal thing. My mom was involved in a couple interviews that he did as well. So is a translator for him. So he's kind of like a family favorite. My mom always, for a while, was always asking me how Timmy was doing. So anyhow, those are personal things. But Timmy Chandler's, he's well done, cooked, and gone. He's gone. Sorry, Larry, he is. His career is pretty much finished. He'll probably end up at a Bundesliga 2 team next season.
Speaking of finished, this topic about Pepi and PSV is finished. Actually, no. Actually, before we jump off the PSV, since we spent so much time about them, why don't we talk about their game? It's going to be one of the midweeks. Let's go and hammer it out.
All right. It is one of the games that I watched this midweek. I watched some other ones too, but I do have to say, Tillman got 30. He did fine. He does Tillman things. Pepe came in for the last 8 minutes, got the goal, the winning goal. That's going to get PSV to the next round. Dest had a really good 90 minutes. He went the full 90, got the assist, the first goal. I thought Dest is looking really good. I think he's looking really good. Did he get burned? He did get burned.
Sure. It's bound to happen. You're not going to stop them all.
He got burned bad once. But for the most part, he took his assignment in defense pretty seriously. He was there. PSV is looking like you're going into this next knockout round. Like whoever they're going to play, they're going to be a pain in the ass because this is a team that does not know what losing is. Mm-hmm. I mean, they've literally won every single game this season. I would like to see Tillman start, but I understand why he doesn't. And we already discussed why Pepe doesn't. But this was impressive. And it does warm the cockles of my heart to see 3 Americans on the pitch. God, I almost sound like Lexi Lawless there. Ooh.
Yeah. We got some Lawless later on. They'll fill your void.
Yeah, there was some red cards that affected that game for sure. There's no doubt about that.
Any game without a red card is a good game.
Yep. But on the other side this time, right?
Yeah.
And that helped PSV come back and beat Sevilla. So great game. If you missed it, go watch it. I think it's on Paramount Plus. You can watch it in the game replay.
All champions are there, yep.
Yep, well worth it. But I would have liked to see more Pepe time. And I really like the fact that Pepe and De Jong got to play next to one another up top. And I like the fact that Bosch made that decision. And like I said, I'm hoping what that does is maybe put a thought in his mind about playing those two up top together.
He must have been watching Berhalter this last window.
I doubt that very seriously.
All right. Well, Derek, we're going to branch off of PSV now. No more of that. You know, Pepe, everybody, you're on. Don't talk about you. But we are going to bring up your favorite segment of the show. So get ready.
Oh, hold on. All right, I'm ready. Transfer news. Everybody loves that transfer news, but me. Pretty good?
Yeah. And look at me. Right. I already had the topic rolled up and ready for it.
Man, you're like nice. A pro at this shit.
I know. We're getting better at this thing.
Mark Gooey. I'm sure that's not how his name is pronounced. Mark Gay is keen to remain. God, that sounds bad too. Is keen to remain. It sounds bad. It isn't bad. Is keen to remain with Crystal Palace until the summer transfer window to boost his chances. It is. I know. I got it right. Mark. I knew it was gay, but it does look like gooey. You have to admit. With Crystal Palace until the summer transfer window to boost his chances of making England squad for Euro 2024. Yeah, I mean, that might change the way Chris Richards is thinking about things. Maybe. We'll see.
Big question there. I guess it's indicating that he's one foot out of Crystal Palace.
Yeah.
But he's waiting until the summer because that way he stands a better chance instead of going in the winter and having to fight for a spot at the new club or lack of chemistry hurting his chances for the Euros or whatever. So,
yeah.
But the reason I bring this up is it does affect Richards and what this next window might bring to him. Do you think it's possible that they may look for a 6 or a half year loan or half season loan?
I think Crystal Palace will try to hold on to Richards. He is their third option at center back. And God knows you never know when you get an injury. Somebody gets red cards, they're out. I just don't see them wanting to loan Richards out unless there's another center back they got in their pocket that they think can fill in. And maybe they do. And if that's the case, then Richards should go out on a loan. His agent should certainly be working on that. But God, is he going to end up next to Austin Trusty at Sheffield United? God, I hope not. I hope if he goes to a team, it's a team that really needs a center back because of an injury situation or something like that where he knows he's going to play. Because it takes a while to build that partnership with your other center backs, right? Or your other center back if it's a 4-back. So as well as your left back and your right back. So I don't think he would hop straight in. I think they would ease him in. And so we'll see. Poch wants Gahey this January. I don't know if we know that as a fact. I haven't seen that quote, but if you say it, it wouldn't surprise me. But I mean, Chelsea's got problems. A lot of them, they're looking better lately. So maybe it's not the problems aren't as deep as I think, but they do have an aging ass center back on that team. I don't even know if he's the problem though. So we'll see. We'll see how this all pans out.
So again, this is one of those scenarios we had talked about earlier about the instant gratification. We all want Richards to be playing right now, and maybe a 6-month loan might be good for him to get playing time leading into the next season, where he may be a contender for an actual starting role. Or maybe staying at Crystal Palace, continue playing week in, week out, and pressing at practices, getting bit minutes here and there, cup time or whatever. Maybe that's going to be best for him to continue vying for that starting role in the summer. As fans, we want him to go somewhere and get playing time right now.
But again, Crystal Palace doesn't have to let him go on loan, and they may think, hey, we need this kid. Just in case. So, wait and see. BVB News Blog. One fun position always causes discussion among the bosses. The number 10 position. The sports management is unhappy that Gio Reyna can hardly develop at the moment due to less playing time. I'm sure that Terzic isn't the most popular guy at management at Dortmund either, because he's basically driving down Reyna's price by not playing him.
So there was a time prior to the injuries that it was talked about how Dortmund were looking to aim, and I know they don't have franchise players per se, but they're aiming to keep him long term, wanting to keep him long term, rather than selling him at a high. I'm sure if a high enough bid came from that, they would have accepted, because that's one thing that they do. But that was the rumor. I think Derek Ray broke that. But since the injuries occurred, and now that his contract's coming to an end here soon, I'm sure Dortmund's looking at it going like, well, if we can't convince him to stay, the fact that Terzic's not really playing him at all is probably pushing him away from wanting to stay.
Oh, you're losing millions.
Yeah, we got to sell him. But the fact that he doesn't actually play him is hurting his stock. And they're going to go from a guy who probably would have gotten $50 million, minus the injuries, of course, to pennies on the dollar.
20?
If that.
20, 25, 19. I mean, if they're driving, Terzic is single-handedly driving Reyna. Because remember when he was playing alongside Holland, and they were just fucking wrecking motherfuckers.
Yep.
His value was just going through the roof. It was just one way, one direction, up, 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 up. And if you don't play the dude, And I understand it. They were up in the game here in the Champions League this week. And you know what Terzic does when they're up. He fucking shuts the door down. He plays conservative. He locks it up on defense. And that's probably for him as a manager. All he cares about is wins. That means a guy like Reyna is going to go fucking ride the pine. Mm-hmm. And the only way to up Gio's price is to loan him in January. Yeah, I mean, obviously it's a big rumor for Ajax, and they could certainly use somebody. But, I mean, we'll see what happens there because, Reyna can't be happy about it either. I mean, really seriously cannot be happy about this. When they sold off a bunch of players in the last 2 seasons, you thought, oh, this is good. Reyna's going to get more PT, not less. Yeah. But not under Terzic. So there you go.
Yeah. I mean, even if they manage to re-sign him, let's just say. Maybe he pulls a Brian Gutierrez here. Loaning him out would probably still be the best thing. He's good enough to play for your team. But he's not getting enough playing time because either the tactics are playing or the manager just thinks that he has better options available to him.
He'd be a star at Ajax.
Yeah, they'd be the star at a number of teams.
Yep.
He could go to any number of teams in the Bundesliga and jump right in for the most part.
Augsburg, anybody in the back half of the table?
So I mean, at this point, if they want to jumpstart his stock again and hopes to make a little bit more bank, a loan in January might not be might be the worst option for him.
Here's a team that needs some creativity in the midfield. How about Union Berlin? Do they want to survive this season? If they want to survive, they got to get somebody in midfield who can actually pass the ball.
How often does that happen that a team in one of the major leagues, saying major league sounds like you're talking about baseball. And shit like that. one of the top leagues in Europe are in Champions League that season, but then get relegated. How often does that really happen?
Not often, but it has happened recently in history.
Sure.
I just can't think of it off the top of my head.
Wolfsburg almost did it a couple years back.
Yeah. I can't remember if Schalke was in that situation one season where they were fighting relegation, yet they were in the Champions League. I can't remember that's so many seasons ago. Anyhow, yeah, there have been teams that have been in Champions League and yet barely survived or were fighting for their survival all season long in their domestic league. So, yeah, it has happened. It's sad to see it happen. Of course, Union Berlin played this week as well, and we got Brendan Aronson got 10 minutes in that tie. At least it was a tie. At least they didn't lose because, I mean, they've been stinking it up. And I didn't even bother watching those 10 minutes with Brendan Aronson because I know what it was. Him running around a lot. Only in Germany. Yeah, I can't think of it happening in England.
I mean, Chelsea had a meteoric drop off there. Were they in Champions League last year?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, yeah.
No. I mean, Chelsea have fallen off a cliff. I mean, the only one I could think of, no, that didn't even happen to Leicester. No. So, yeah, I think whoever said that it's mostly Germany, they're probably right. All right, FC Cincinnati CB and MLS Defender of the Year, Matt Miazga, has been suspended 3 matches for entering the referee room following his win over the New York Red Bulls. Miazga officially out of Eastern Conference final if FCC win MLS Cup. Yeah, what an idiot.
What an idiot.
Total idiot.
I mean, he does. Speaking of culture that we've created, this is a bigger boneheaded play than kicking Berhalter's dog.
Dude, it's worse than grabbing that guy's cock and balls a couple of years ago in Holland.
I thought it was League.
Might have been in Liga, but he's done it twice.
Yeah,
it's not just once. He's grabbed cock and balls twice and squeezed. So he is. I said
cough, bitch.
He's a nasty dude. And you know what? At least, okay, you're going to get a red card for that if it's caught. But going into the referee's room after a game, What kind of stupid cunt does that? And I'm sorry, Matt, if you're listening to the show, but that's stupid cunt action from you.
That was a dumb move.
Mhm.
We mentioned the dumb move by Dest in this last window.
Right.
This is a dumb move by you, man.
You're going to cost your team,
dumb.
possibly.
Stupid.
Now, the coach came out and said, that's not exactly how it happened. Well, what did happen then?
We've got the Players Association, MLS Players Association, coming out with a statement. I figured you might want to give that a little read and see what they think.
Okay, what'd they say? Oh,
Can you read that?
they said it in miniature.
Hang on.
No, I can't.
Here we go.
Here we go. The MLS Players Association condemns the behavior of the Professional Soccer Referees Association and certain PSRA members with regard to the November 4th incident at Red Bull Arena involving FC Cincinnati player Matt Miazga. Both the match report approved by the officials and the statements released by the PSRA regarding the incident contained material falsehoods. Since then, the PSRA has not only failed to correct these falsehoods, its president has continued to repeat them publicly. To respect the integrity of the disciplinary process, the MLSPA refrained from public comment until the process was complete. The PSRA, on the other hand, created and repeatedly reinforced a public false narrative that appears to have directly influenced the process. Video footage made available and reviewed during the disciplinary process confirms the statements made by the referee and the PSRA were false. Unfortunately, that evidence does not appear to have appropriately factored in MLS's decision. In the meantime, no discipline has been announced for the referees for submitting a match report with multiple false statements, and no discipline has been announced to address the stadium security breakdown that allowed the incident to occur in the first place. That's weird. Further, MLS has not publicly condemned the PSRA for their irresponsible actions and false statements. Players in MLS are held publicly accountable for their actions. It's high time the same. So they're basically saying the referees lied about what Matt did.
They exaggerated or they embellished. I don't know. This is insane to see the MLSPA come out against so openly against the referee. That they're going to get fined and suspended, right?
They won't, but
No.
For saying this, they won't. But it is interesting that they are being this adamant about it. So there's got to be some fire to the smoke. Like maybe he just went in there to shake their hands. Maybe, I don't know. And then they were like, hey, you can't get in. You're not supposed to be in here, man. And he's like, hey, man, I was just coming in. I don't know what happened. I wish they would say, like, this is just the problem with this statement is it doesn't explain what falsehoods the referees said.
This could be it too, because they talk about the security breakdown. That let's see.
Really, the referees need security from the players?
Probably if they're that shitty. But Jack is saying basically maybe he walked over to them in the tunnel, and they're saying he walked into their referee room.
Right.
That could be a falsehood. That while this doesn't change the story all that much, but it does change the detail that he didn't go looking for them in the room. This is pure speculation based off of what Jack says could have possibly have happened, hypothetically speaking.
Wasn't he already banned before this anyhow? Miazga's already.
He probably got like a red card type ban.
He hasn't been playing anyhow for them. So now he's gone and doubled up on not playing for them. Man, I would stay away from the refs completely if I were Matt Miazga. But I mean, if they're lying about what he did, that's pretty poor on their part. But I'd really like to hear. I'd like to see what the referee's statement was. And I don't know if we are privy to that information.
Well, somebody, the one that I've already gotten rid of it too. But they mentioned how he entered the referee room or something like that.
Okay, well.
So, I mean, again, that minute change is a big difference. So if he goes and he confronts him in the hallway or the hallway, the tunnel leading back to the locker rooms and the referee room, and then also would be different than say him walking into the referee room, storming in and giving them what's what.
Yeah, maybe they were
That's
hanging
different.
out. Maybe they were hanging out just outside of the referee's room talking.
Yeah.
And
I
he
don't know.
said something to them in passing through the hallway. I don't know.
And they haven't implemented the soon to be orange card. So,
Oh God,
that's next. Derek, we're talking about that. Well, soon, very soon, actually.
this could be a short segment.
Could be. Not much
Orange
more to
card.
add to this. I mean, it was a stupid decision by Miazga. Whether he entered the room or just confronted them in the tunnel, I don't really care. It's just stupid to do so.
I hope he didn't grab one of their nut sacks and squeeze.
Maybe that's why they get the extended. Maybe that's why he's getting the extended suspension.
And by the way, for people who don't
Why
know,
did you grab his nuts and not mine? What the fuck, man?
well, just to be clear, the thing about Matt Miazga kicking Gregg Berhalter's dog is a joke. The thing about him squeezing other players' nut sacks is not a joke. Go look it up.
Yeah.
He's done it twice. He's grabbed on the field of play an opposing player's nutsack and squeezed. Just telling you.
We've all known players that have done stuff like that. You've talked about a guy, I don't remember his name, even though you say it like 500 times.
Which one?
Went up to a player and just grabbed them with a nutsack. So whoever you played with, in high school or whatever.
Oh, no, none of our guys did that.
I thought you said some good.
No, opponents have done that before. Another guy used to spit in your mouth when it was open.
Fuck, dude.
It's an opponent's.
That's
and
gross.
yeah, and your mouth would be open because you just did a sprint or something. You'd be like, dude, try to spit in your mouth. Ref didn't see it. That was what's annoying. Yeah, and then
didn't even pay you for it too, man. That's the worst, right? He did it to you and didn't even give you money.
And I think our goalie went batshit. Was going to beat the living shit out of the dude too, but we all held him back. But everybody knew, and then we told the referee he's spitting in people's faces. So I didn't see it, so I can't call it. Anyhow, long time ago. All right, if you talk about any other possible rule changes, would love to hear you guys take on the running clock. As a U.S. sports fan, convert to soccer. The running clock and time wasting has long been an annoyance of mine. Seems so easy to adopt the NCAA soccer clock system. I mean, okay, I can understand how it might be an annoyance, midlife crisis pod, but here's what I would do. I would just learn to live with it because it ain't going to probably change, and you're smart enough to know the clock's running the other direction.
Didn't when MLS first started, didn't it have the NCAA clock? Where it kind of back. So I'm sure most people know this, but obviously,
I don't remember.
All professional leagues start at 0 and they count their way up to 90 in the end. The way that NCAA works is you start at 45 and count down, and then once it's 0, you go type thing.
Yeah,
and so I mean that stops the time wasting because the half's literally over and you don't have stoppage time at that point. At least that's how it used to be. I'm not sure if that's still the way it is right now, but
I think that if there's a problem with refereeing in soccer right now, this probably is small enough one that Mr. Midlife here could probably fix on his own by just getting used to the fact that the clock's going the other direction.
I'd say here's my take.
Get used to it.
Here's my take on it. The ref has to incorporate a boxing 10 count. That if he counts to 10, you got to go off the pitch for a couple minutes into a quote unquote sin bin, which is what we're going to talk about here in a second, anyways. But that would stop people from milking because you take a hit, you're like, that hurts, But do you need to be rolling around the ground for a minute or two? No, 90% of the time you don't need the guy to come over to spray the cold air on your ass or anything like that. You just, you get up and like, that fucking sucked, walk it off like a man.
I think this is
it's like 6, 7, 8, 9. The guy bounces up. Like, all right, let's go.
I mean, I appreciate the question. I just would just live with it because.
Oh, that's another great point. Somebody else may have mentioned this beforehand, but how does incorporating the NCAA clock waste? Oh, the reason why it would stop time wasting is that they stop the clock on anytime the ball goes out of bounds. It's a free kick, whatever.
I don't think they do that.
They don't do that anymore?
I don't think so.
I thought they did.
I don't know. It's been a long time since I went to an IU soccer game, so yeah. I don't remember. In high school, I don't remember the clock ever stopping. I don't remember that. But that's not what I was focused on while I was playing. So
very true.
The clock wasn't what I was looking at or focused on while I was playing. So maybe I just misremembered that.
my take on all these talks of changing rules and stuff like that is I don't like these massive changes to the game. A small change here or there type of thing. Going from 3 subs to 5 subs, that didn't bother me.
No.
It's bounced back to 3 now, but okay, Jack says it never stopped.
It is not bounced back to
but
3.
LB says they do stop. I don't know.
It's still at 5.
Is it still? I thought they bounced back to 3.
I don't know.
Okay.
Still at 5. Yeah. Gonna stay that way, probably.
Hopefully, I hope they keep it that way. It's fine. I'm fine with that.
I like it.
I'm fine with small incremental changes to already established rules. If you want to clarify what the fuck a handball is, I'd be happy.
Huh.
You want to fix the stupid offside rule when your shoelace is offside and you're considered offside? Yes, please fix that rule.
Or a penis head.
But when we're talking about completely changing the structure, whether we stop the clock every time there's a stoppage play, or if we're talking about the orange card, which I might as well pull it up right now.
Let's just get it over with.
That I don't like these massive changes to the game, and I don't know. They're like, because we're going to listen to a Lawless comment here in a second. And he talks about, like, I don't like the fact that it's like there's a big gap between a yellow and a red card, and if you get a red card, it changes the enjoyment of the game for people who go to see the game. I'm like, no, it's no. Like, hey, if you don't want to do the time, don't commit the crime.
Correct.
So
yes, correct.
So here's an article from BBC back in 2014 talking about the orange card proposed by FIFA candidate Jerome Champagne.
Give me a break.
Yeah.
And this is when? 2016?
2014. He was
2014,
running against...
So 8 years ago.
Yeah.
And it's relevant again now because somebody else brought it up again.
Correct. And we'll get into that here in a sec, but I don't know if you want to read that or not, but...
I really don't. I mean, basically,
I'll paraphrase it here because basically he talks about the sin. He suggests players could be in a sin bin for committing 2 or 3 minutes for in between fouls committed in the heat of a moment. You run around, you rip off your shirt because you just scored a goal. Instead of giving a second yellow card, which is a red card, you send him off for 3 minutes.
I hate the name sin bin, by the way. Can I just say that?
It echoes too close to hockey.
Fucking hate that. No, when you're in the penalty box in hockey.
Yeah, I know, but
some dumb fuckers call it a sin bin, and they are, I don't know what planet they live on, but I fucking hate that name, sin bin. All right, I just don't like it. I hate it. It's not a sin.
Yeah,
it's created. It's a foul. I don't know. I hate the name sin bin. Sorry.
Anyhow. No, I hear you, but that's the terminology that's being pushed around for the last 9 years now. It's still.
I know. It's so. It's so pukey.
The Athletic has an article that says MLS could be the first pro league to trial sin bins in football after lawmakers back trials.
God, if they do this, it'll be the dumbest, most embarrassing thing that ever happened. This is not hockey.
This is the thing. This is the type of change I'm not a big fan of because it's adding something else in there, and all it has to be. I mean, using this theory, Dest could have gotten an orange card and only been out for 10 minutes. That could have changed the game for a benefit for us.
What are you going to give him? 2 minutes, like hockey?
Well, I mean, the MLS article here talks about a 10-minute period.
Well, that's pretty significant.
Yeah. And I'm going to branch into some.
It's going to be like hockey where you got minors and majors.
I don't know the details. They talk about MLS talks about how the details haven't really been ironed out yet.
Because the basic foul in hockey is 2 minutes, but hockey's a much different sport. And it's faster and it's more compact.
Hockey has 2 and 5 minute penalties.
Yeah, and then the major's 5. And if you can't score 5-4 in hockey, that's pretty embarrassing on a 5 minute. You're just expected you should score. I don't know. Chris Gary would know more about the hockey thing. I played hockey, obviously, so I know a little bit about it. But playing a man down for 5 minutes is pretty goddamn significant in hockey. I don't know how significant that is in fucking soccer. It's not, for the most part. But 10 minutes even, you can squeal out 10 minutes. A man down.
So basically the International Football Association board has been mulling this over and wants to trial it out. The new protocols regarding temporary dismissals for conduct such as dissent and surrounding the referee, as well as tactical fouls, can now be placed for the 2024-2025 season. So basically, Dest's second yellow card would have only garnered him 10-minute cool down period, if you in that sense. Hey, you're getting a little too crazy out here. Get out of my face. Go stand on the sideline for 10 minutes. It's like you're talking to like a U10 at that point.
This is no. I'm sorry. This is all silly. It's silly, and I hope it doesn't happen. I'm sorry. I mean, if some people out there don't think it's silly, that's fine. They can feel that way. To me, it's unnecessary. It changes soccer as we know it. Football, foosball. I don't want it. I don't want anything to do with this.
Sure.
It's you want to bring back PKs that are start at midfield. Now we can talk.
No,
that was at least exciting.
I don't even want that.
I get it. I know. But it was fun. Let's put it that way. It was fun. More fun than a PK. That way we do it now. But this is just an unnecessary rule change that doesn't need to change.
And here's what I would imagine will happen. MLS will be the first pro league to implement it, and you'll have a bunch of people in Europe, especially in England, that start mocking us, going like, "Oh my God, you fucking Yanks! Don't you keep trying to change it to do." But you know what the funny thing about this is? The sin bins were actually introduced at grassroots levels in England during the 2019-2020 season.
Yeah, it league, lower adult league.
Yeah.
Soccer. That's fun. You want to fuck around at a lower league with that? I got no problem.
But
you want to put it in college soccer? Go ahead and fuck around with college soccer. It's already a fuck fest anyhow, rule-wise.
That would have been the equivalent of us calling it soccer, and then English people would be like, "Oh, you fuckers calling it soccer? It's football. It's football." I'm like, "Who the fuckers that came up with that?"
You invented that shit, you dumb fuck.
You're the ones that are inventing the sin bins. We're just, I guess, the first professional league that's willing to dive on that grenade.
and by the way, if they do use this in college soccer or wherever, you better not try it in MLS. Don't call it a sin bin, motherfuckers. Please do not. Come up with a legit name for it. Sin bin is not acceptable. Mm-hmm. Sin bin is where you go to sin, to have sex with prostitutes and other porn stars.
Maybe that's
a
part
sin
of the
bin. Sin bin's a good place.
You go to that bin over there and you take it for 10 minutes, okay?
You put me in a sin bin, I'm having sex with some sort of chick. That's a sin bin. And I'm willingly going in. Don't call this a sin bin. Call it something else. But can we stop calling it a sin bin? Please. Thank you. Press, media, stop calling it sin bins. Sin bins are places you go to sin, not where you go after you've sinned.
I think you get the orange card. You got to go off the sideline, sit on a stool, and wear a dunce cap for 10 minutes.
Yeah, something like that.
Let's really go stupid on it.
You have to dress up like a clown too.
So, according to the FA figures, those trials resulted in 38% reduction in dissent across the leagues, with 72% of players, 77% of managers, and 84% of referees wanting to continue with the change.
Okay, great. Good for them. But this is professional soccer.
Yeah.
This isn't some fucking pub league. And players are expected to be professionals and know where the lines are. That's why they're professionals. They're playing at the game at the highest level. You can clown around with this, like I said, in lower leagues and colleges if you want to clown around with this shit. But let's be really serious. This is clownish bullshit. It doesn't need to happen. It doesn't. So, the way they've been handling it in the English amateur leagues is they show a yellow card, they point to the sidelines, and then they got to go sit there for a 10-minute window if it's a 90-minute game and 8 minutes if it's shorter. There's so many words I want to say right now, Brett, but I'm not going to.
People want to hear it. Come on, man.
I know. I don't want to get in trouble.
The whole point of this one, there's no actual physical sin bin. Players just go to their technical area or leave the pitch and watch from the touchline. The other one was a second temporary dismissal in the match results in an offending player being dismissed for a further 10 minutes, after which they may not rejoin the match, but can be substituted if the team has substitutions remaining.
Sounds like this idiot needs to be substituted. So, yeah. All right. I can't do any more of this.
But you are going to, because we're going to listen to some Lawless about it. Maybe he has a take on it that you're not quite grasping, Derek. What about that?
Oh, God. All right. This is painful.
Well, it'll be...
I can't believe we spent 6 minutes on this.
That are being rumored to be
is he in a hospital?
Comes to FIFA.
No, he went to WWE Raw, and he is on the road right now.
It's the most hospital-looking motherfucking hotel room I've ever seen.
His hairdresser didn't come with him, apparently.
Well, that's all right. I can deal with
his hair.
But I wouldn't want to wake up to him in the morning. That's for sure. No offense, Lexley. You look a little rough, buddy.
Going forward, and for those that may not know what this is all about, we have long talked about the possibility of adding an intermediate type of punishment. Obviously, we have just a foul that's called where there's a foul, but nothing happens individually to a player. But then we get into a yellow card or a red card. And the difference and the space between a red and a yellow is vast. But there's nothing that fills that space. Moss, you know what we're talking about?
So that's what we're talking about, Derek. That vastness between the yellow and the red. There has to be something in between.
A vast gully.
You ever seen that? Have you seen Dodgeball?
Yes.
I always think about the guy who commits a foul. He runs up to Ben Stiller with like a piece of like red yarn. He's like, "That's a warning," you know.
Oh, yeah.
That's what I imagine. This is
well. When I think of a vast gully, I think of other things.
So what happens if you have a yellow card, a standard yellow card that doesn't warrant you to go out for 10 minutes, and then you do something? Maybe you talk shit to the referee like Des did, and you get another yellow card, which would equate, or an orange card. Does a yellow and an orange equate to a red in that sense?
Who the fuck knows?
Out? Is it just for the first ascent? I mean, how do you get a second orange card but still can sub in a player? This is the weirdest topic to talk about. I mean, we talk about
why this is stupid.
So
sorry,
Derek,
Brett.
You might as well get used to it, Derek, because it's going to happen.
This is a dumb conversation, and now we're partaking in it.
We are. Derek, it's what we do. We talk about dumb shit.
All right, is that it?
No, we got to hear Lawless's take. This is where I think he's going to persuade you, Derek, and change your mind about everything.
I doubt it. Very seriously.
The game. I don't want to cheat people out of good soccer. I don't want to cheat people that have paid money, in many instances, of a full experience of the game. And part of the full experience is having full teams, is having players out there that you want to see. And because there's such a huge distance and gulf between a yellow card and a red card, and the severity is so dramatic with a red card, having something in the middle.
Part of the experience of going to a game is also the fact that somebody steps out of fucking line and they get a goddamn red card, or they get 2 yellows and they're out. You get 2 yellows already. You already get to be a dumbass twice. We can add more opportunities to be a dumbass. Sorry, I'm not buying any of this. That's part of the game experience too. Mm-hmm. Are your professionals actually professionals? Do they know how to make a professional foul when they need to and realize they're going to get a yellow and then not do it again? Because they realize if they do it again, they're going to get another yellow. You already get 2 fucking chances to not be a dumbass. So I'm not buying any of this. It's like, what, are red cards rampant? Are red cards all over the fucking... I mean, is that a problem?
That was my first thought, too. I'm like, how... I mean, I know that you'll see them from time to time, but I mean, it's like you have how many Bundesliga games going on a week?
Exceptionally rare.
You might have like one a week, if that.
Exceptionally rare. One over a weekend in the Bundesliga. You might have two at the height that somebody got a red card. But it's not like 10 out of the 20 teams are getting red cards every weekend. This is ridiculous. It's a waste of fucking time and brain room.
David D agrees with you. Part of the experience is playing a man down. What a dope.
Hell yeah. You got an idiot out there that does one of those stomping ass fucking cleat first ankle breaking motherfucking tackles. You're out, dumb fuck. Game goes on without you. Maybe your team will think about playing you the next time and reconsider because you're such a stupid loose cannon fuckface. That's part of soccer. You got a loose cannon on your team? Maybe you don't play him because he's a dumb fuck.
And
that's part of the game.
One thing he doesn't allude to when he talks about like cheapening the experience because of a red card.
Oh, that's bullshit.
What if the red card happens on the other team? Do you think the fans in the stands are going like, oh, this game's worthless. I'm out of here, man.
No, they're like,
get the fuck out of here, you motherfucker.
Yeah, we got a chance. And some of those ankle-breaking motherfucking tackles that we do see for red cards, yeah, those motherfuckers need to go off and reassess their own fucking ability to think on the run. Because, I mean, we've seen some horror, like the tackle that took out fucking Stu.
Yeah.
Both. Yeah, horrible. Straight red cards.
You had a player that had two horrific injuries due to stupid tackles. Mind you, I'm not going to get into the logistics behind them. They were bad tackles, regardless, and he had to end his career short.
You don't go around calling the ref a dumb cunt to his face. You're going to get a yellow for that. I mean, I can't even believe we're wasting. Like Brett, we should stop right now. We shouldn't cover this anymore. It's ludicrous.
Derek, you stopped me so early. I still have 1 minute and 30 seconds of his explanation.
I don't give a fuck what Lawless has to say on this issue. I seriously do not care because he's such a fluffy, puffy marshmallow on so many issues. And this is just another one where he's just squeezing the marshmallow. Ooh, look, I'm squeezing it. And it makes no sense. Like I already said, you got two chances to be a dumb fuck already in the game. There's no point.
I'm pulling him up a lot this show. He's putting some good stuff in the chat.
Yeah, it was a straight red card or maybe an orange one. No, we're not doing that, man. I think it's funny though. That's
here,
a good
one. I'm gonna get you in a better mood here.
All right, because we got plenty of show to go already. Plenty of show to go. And we're going to waste more time on this? I don't think we should.
There's further explanation, but I'll tell you this much, Derek. I didn't agree with it either. So I was doing it really just to rile you up to get you into the.
I know you were.
And if we weren't already sitting at 1:53 and still having to talk about the short leash and listen to some of the videos we got over there.
Oh God!
I might push a little harder for you to listen to more.
Dude, we got midweek report too.
Yeah,
Alex Better for $2 drinking the Chouffet. I have had that 10% Belgian beer. GGG out. I do love that beer. You know what the interesting part about that beer? It does have a little bit more of the hops in it, which is really interesting. So Alex, well done. That's a good beer. And I wasn't a fan of that part actually. The more hops in that beer. The Chouffet though, it's still quality. It just surprised me that it had depending. There's I think 3 different Chouffets, so I'm not sure which one you're drinking. Larry for $2. La Bamba over Buddy Holly.
It's a question. Over Buddy Holly?
La 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 bamba. I don't know the words.
I think those are the official words, actually.
They might be. No, La Bamba not over Buddy Holly, but sadly they both died the same way. They both died the same way.
On a toilet, right?
No, not on a toilet. Plane crash. Jesus Christ.
Hey,
Elvis died
in the toilet of the plane. You don't know that, Derek.
Elvis died with the toilet.
Could you imagine being in a plane, dropping a deuce, and then all of a sudden the plane just... I mean, how quickly you dropping that deuce at that point? Like,
and all that shit comes up.
Shit.
hits you in the ass because you're falling. The shit comes out of the waist and just smashes your ass. Yeah, that would be gross.
Well, I think that's the least of your concern at that point.
Right. I guess. Yeah. I'm going to die with shit from other people covering my ass. That's kind of gross.
Well, I'm hoping people in the the airplane toilet are actually flushing the toilet.
Yeah, I'm not sure how that works. I'm not sure how far down the tube it goes. I think if you drop fast enough, that shit can all shoot back up onto your asshole. So you die an undignified, shitty ass death.
Died by shit.
Not only does your head hit the ceiling, so does all the shit you just took. Just right up on the ceiling there with you. All right. Striker pool, player pool.
We don't have to go with the pool itself. I mean, that's not the point. I just wanted to give us some context of where we're starting at here. So Edgar posts our striker pool, basically.
Okay, that's
and that's
fair.
where they're at.
I mean, I wouldn't even put Daryl DK on there. He's still not even making the bench yet for West Brom.
He's got to be down here in the show more, I imagine.
Injured. And God knows how. I mean, the injury sound, by the way, really serious. And I don't know how he's going to come back. This is now the third successive injury for DK in 3 years.
Yeah.
Those are killers. Did you guys see that tweet about that one dude who did a combined CONCACAF 11 with one U.S. men's national team on it? I've not
seen them. I don't know if it's one that I haven't seen I haven't seen one recently, but I've seen them where they do that.
Send it to Brett. We'll cover it next show.
Yeah. Tag me in it. It's gonna be fun. So this brings up a fun little topic as far as am I right or am I right about as far
this
as
guy? This guy is a
Mexico
piece of work.
Players heading back to Liga MX.
That's almost all of them.
That's the entire European pool, right?
Yeah, you said it. You know, I mean,
obviously it's not. There's the other Jimenez, so
I doubt Raul Jimenez will come back right away unless he continues to be useless for Fulham for the rest of the season.
How old is he at this point?
I think he's just his late 20s. He's not that old.
Larry's upset that he dropped $2 and only got one line from La Bamba. Sing the other line, Derek, real quick.
La 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 bamba, patika patum, la 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 bamba, la vida la vida. I don't know the words. Doing my best.
You happy, Larry?
Were those sung in Spanish originally? Those words? I think they were. That's probably why I don't know the lyrics. Not a huge
I
fan.
think it's in Spanish.
I think it is the original. It's a good song, but that's really Richie's only big hit, I believe. Is there another one? Let me know.
Yeah, nailed it. Larry says very nice. LB says awesome. Broken says yes.
I'm trying.
It's 100% Spanish. It's an American Spanish song.
That's what I thought. That's why I don't know any of the lyrics at all.
I think you nailed it, man. Nail on head. Nail on head.
I only know the La Bamba part.
I mean, I'm pretty sure that's how I sing it too.
All right.
Nobody really knows. La, 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 Bamba.
I probably know more of the Buddy Holly lyrics. So,
well, let's take a look at the Americans that are likely to come back to MLS. Let's take come to MLS because some of these players might not have ever played in MLS.
Can we feature who this tool is?
Yeah, it's Drill.
Ha! He is a tool. After all, he's a drill. He's a tool. And this is his uneducated, which is what I called it. And I told him in my response, I said, I'm keeping this receipt, motherfucker, because when this I shouldn't have called them names, but when this is, a year from now, a joke, I'm going to make sure you realize you were a joke. Because you don't know any of these players. You haven't researched any of these players. Some of these that he put here are absolutely ridiculous. U.S. players who could go back to MLS. I guess if Tyler Adams had to have 2 testicles removed in his left calf, he'd come back to MLS, but he's not coming back. La Bamba is about a dude that ran out of toilet paper and had to use a porcupine instead. I doubt that. Very seriously. I mean, I don't know, but isn't La Bamba like a dance or something? What does La Bamba mean in Spanish?
Here's the actual words.
Pela pilia la babacita Una poca de gracia. Yeah, thank you, BMR. I doing my best here. Brendan Aronson. Yeah, well, he's playing bad. I'll give you that, but he ain't coming back to MLS anytime soon.
No, we had talked about this before, but I mean, even if he flames out of Union Berlin, which is very likely, and doesn't even get picked back up by Leeds, and he gets transferred off for pennies, there's plenty of smaller leagues and lesser teams that'll be interested before he actually comes back to MLS.
That will pay him more, probably, unless he could get a field day at MLS, maybe. Who knows?
Maybe Union want to break the bank.
If you're Brendan Aronson and you go back to MLS, you're essentially surrendering and saying, yeah, I'm not good enough for this.
Dude, at that age, I mean, he's at that point.
He's too young to surrender.
Way too young to surrender.
Right. Tim Team. I like that one. Tim Team. I want to be on Tim Team too. Only because of his age. Yeah, I still think they get through the season. He's still going to be there next season. Why are you going to get rid of Tim Ream if you're Fulham? And his family is based there. I mean, his kids grew up in England.
Yeah.
You're going to uproot all that shit and go back to the United States next season? Nah, I don't think so. Leonard Maloney. Go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just going to say the same thing. I couldn't imagine unless Tim gets a massive payday. And even then, would his family just stay in England while he goes and plays that season in MLS? Because I imagine that's all he'd get before he's like, you know what, F this isn't worth it.
I mean, he's not had as good of a season this season as last, but he's not like the real problem. He's not the reason they're in 14th, which isn't that far from where they were last year this time.
Yeah.
They were 12th, I believe, the same time last year. So it's not like they dropped off the fucking cliff or something. Or he hasn't. And he and Jedi are like, they're on the same mental plane. Those two guys are great.
That left side's locked down. Yeah.
It is.
Leonard Maloney is just hysterical.
I don't even know if this guy knows who Leonard fucking Maloney is, but he's not coming to MLS anytime soon. And there's a really good chance at this point that Heidenheim are going to probably survive. Mm-hmm. They'll probably be near the bottom, but they'll probably just survive. And he'll be back next season. Not only is he the heart and soul of the defensive center midfield for that team, he's the leader of that team. I mean, he doesn't wear the armband, but if you look at who's talking to who and who's giving the orders and who's telling people to move where, that's fucking Leonard Maloney. Why would he come to MLS? For what reason? So we could end any possibility of playing for the U.S. men's national team in the 2026 World Cup? Because that's what's going to happen. You moron. Do you realize there was one MLS player, you dipshit, that made the last team? If you're playing in MLS, you've got way less chance of playing on the U.S. men's national team. And Leonard Maloney has every intent in his soul to make the U.S. men's national team. Moving to MLS, it's over, buddy.
Well, again, he's starting and playing for a Bundesliga team right now, like the entire fucking game, every game.
Was he the worst player on the team or something? Did I miss something?
No, I haven't seen any of those. But even if Heidenheim were to go down to Bundesliga 2, all that means is that Maloney, unless he gets picked up by somebody in Bundesliga who really enjoys his work effort, his effort in the middle of the pitch, he'll go down with him. He'll go back down to Bundesliga 2 before he ever contemplates coming to MLS.
Exactly. Or he'll get picked up by some team moving up that was like, we need that guy to survive. Or we need that guy on our team. Or some other Bundesliga team says, this guy's really good at this. And occasionally we play that. So let's get this guy. We need a crusher, destroyer, defender in front of our back four. Luca De La Torre? What the fuck are you talking about, you fucking moron? This tool. What is he watching? He's a starter every fucking game he's healthy or hasn't gotten a red card.
Again, if Celtic goes down, he's either going to go down
with them,
or he's going to get picked up by somebody else elsewhere.
And more than likely, they'll survive just like they did last year. Yeah. It'll be a tight one, but I mean, for Celtic of Vigo to go down, that's crazy to me. I know they're near the bottom, but they'll figure out a way to squeak through again.
They are in 18th place. They're in relegation right now.
I know, but he's not the problem. He's not the reason they're going down. Their back four is garbage. And their goalkeeper's not very good either. So they got to fix that. They got to fix the 2 center backs. That's a problem for them right now. And going forward, they do have some good players, but they're just not clicking right now. So we'll see what happens, but I doubt they go down.
My argument with him and argument with most of these players, there are suitors in Europe that are going to pay better than MLS. And even if they don't pay better than MLS, to your point earlier, if they want a chance of playing on the national team at this point, they're going to have to be playing at a higher level than MLS at this point, unless you're just a standout that's in a spot that needs depth. So say if there's some injuries at left back, then all of a sudden you have some left back options viable from MLS might show up. Who knows?
You need a lot of injuries right now.
I know, I'm just saying.
And
I'm trying to create an example here.
Yeah, well, Luca De La Torre would be committing career suicide if he went to MLS right now. And there's no indication. Like, this guy, what does he know their agents? Like, we have a closer connection to their agents than this moron does. Yet he has somehow the ball sack to come on to fucking X and just throw shit against the wall and expect not to get ridiculed. What a fucking idiot.
It's stuff that doesn't even make sense. Again, there's most players on this list definitely will have options. It's stupid to say otherwise. Taylor Booth.
Why would he come back yet?
Not even come back. Come to.
He never
much
been.
Like Maloney, much like Luca. Actually, Leonard, Luca, and Taylor never played in MLS.
Is he going through a rough patch after the injury? Yes. And he had the injury last year, and then he had another new one this year. Who knows what's going on? But he's not been the same Taylor Booth since the injury. We'll see what happens, but I can't see him totally dropping off the map. Jordi Mihailovic, yes. His agent's already dribbling out.
Chicago.
He's already been dribbling that out to people that he knows. So that'll get out that he wants to come back. That's on Jordi. He had his opportunities and he didn't make his mark. That's not a guy who's going to make the U.S. men's national team. Anyhow, he doesn't.
Even looking at Chicago, he's going to have to play wide because he's already going to be competing against Shaq and Gutierrez.
Yep.
I'll take either of them at this point.
Yeah, Jordy's just been a kitten when he needed to be a tiger when he went over there. Austin Trusty, why the fuck would he come back? He's finally got his big break. I guess it's Sheffield United, and they're awful. But he's a starting center back in the goddamn Premier League. And if they go down, he's just going to stay with them. Or they'll get loaned out somewhere to somebody. Why would the fuck would he come back to MLS?
Unless another championship team decides to pick him up as they get promoted and they get relegated. I would suspect that as Sheffield goes down, Austin's going to go with him, which is perfectly fine. Because we talked about it anyways. Before he got sold to Sheffield. He's actually got sold to Sheffield, right?
I can't remember if he's a loan or a sale.
I think it was a sale. But before he went to Sheffield, we even talked about like maybe he needs to get loaned back out to Birmingham again or another championship side.
Oh, there will be somebody who will knock on his door.
Yeah. So he'll get some pretty penny. Not necessarily like designated player money in MLS. People can get designated player anyways.
No, he wouldn't. He's a center back.
Yeah.
MLS does not invest in center backs.
You're looking at like max for him. You're going to get like 120, a max.
You got to be Matt Miazga and spent 5 years in Europe and not made a major enough dent to have anybody want you to go back to MLS. Yeah. And he's just getting started. He's just getting started with his career over there. And by the way, if you've listened to any interviews with Austin Trusty, he wants to make the United States men's national team. That's what he wants to do. And if he goes back to MLS, he ain't going to make it. Unless your name's fucking Zimmerman. Or Miles Robinson, who's, by the way, leaving to go to Europe. Paxton Aronson, he just got there, you dickless wonder. This guy.
And he's getting playing time from time to time. It's not like he's we mentioned in the last matches and or whatever, they were needing a goal, and you're like, well, you don't bring in somebody you think is just going to fill in space. You're put in somebody who thinks can actually make a difference.
And he did. He played 10 minutes. Or wait, what did he play?
I think.
He played 20 minutes, which is more than his brother today against PAOK from Greece. They lost that game. Embarrassing, by the way, for Frankfurt to be losing to even a top Greek team. Greek league is in its lowest ebb in many years. And to lose to that team, I mean, what is Frankfurt fucking doing? Maybe they should have started Timmy Chandler, Larry, because that team looks like garbage against what I would call kind of a middle-of-the-road MLS quality team. Sorry if you're a PAOK fan, but that's how it looked to me. So at least he's getting to play more for his Bundesliga team lately than his older brother. Why the fuck would he come back to MLS? Like, okay, so the bottom line is this tool, Mr. Drill, just grabbed a handful of fucking bullshit and threw it against the wall. And now he looks like an asshole. And we're going to all hold him fucking, what you can put his name back up there. I think is the Drill or whatever.
Drill.
But,
I got rid of it, Drill. Yeah.
Yeah. Hold that fucker accountable for his. That's the thing about X. We all got receipts, man. We can all take screenshots. And we'll all be back to irritate you later for your stupid takes.
I feel like just like to some extent with the U.S. fans versus Mexico fans, I feel like a lot of the times I see the Mexico fans popping up my timeline, it's all just a massive troll. Because, again, of that list, there's only one person that's most likely going to be coming back to MLS. And that'd be Mihailovic. And there's actually rumors of him coming back to MLS.
And we've already said it on the show several times that he's coming back. So what does it mean when somebody replies to you with just a skull? They're just telling you to die, right?
Or you killed it? I don't know.
No, that's how he replied to one of my. And then he said, "Do you think he's cooking?" And then he put up a post of me burning, or somebody else, obviously, burning food. Like there was a pan full of burnt food. So I replied to him with, "What's her name? The cook, the old cook. She used to cook." And had her flailing around with a uncooked raw turkey.
Okay, so it apparently means that they're laughing. It's the equivalent of saying I'm dead.
Oh, well, I'm glad he found it funny. I thought he was going to come kill me. All right. What else we got? Death finish. This one. Yeah. Okay.
Real quick, before we get into that, I need to give some of the.
Larry, $2. Thank you, brother. Louis. Or come a little bit closer. I'm trying to remember how that one goes again.
Are either of those two greater than Buddy Holly?
Louis is really fun. I would say
that I know that song primarily from Animal House.
Which one? Louis?
Louis.
I mean, they're great early fun rock songs. I thought the Buddy Holly stuff was more thoughtful. Especially That'll Be the Day. You know, because nobody's really had up to that time said that things like, well, that'll be the day that I die. Like, you know, he's basically saying that shit ain't happening. And if it does, that'll be the day I'm dead. And he didn't talk about flying planes. I don't know. I think Buddy Holly doesn't get a lot of plaudits. I know there were people who posted Buddy Holly up there, but I remember going to see that movie, The Buddy Holly Story. And if you haven't seen the movie, go see it. It's great. It's played by, I can't remember who the actor is.
Somebody actually brought that up in the chat, and I didn't pull it up, though.
The actor is amazing. He's crazy now. Who was the main actor who played Buddy Holly in the movie The Buddy Holly Story? Somebody's got to tell me. Stand by me. That's a good song, man. Stand by me. Sitting on a dock on a bay. There's another really good. Watching the tide roll away. Lots of good songs.
It was Gary Busey.
Gary Busey was amazing as Buddy Holly. This is when obviously Gary Busey's much younger. Less
crazy,
and
equally as crazy,
skinny, and very skinny, but he looks so much like Buddy Holly in that movie. It's crazy. He does such a fabulous job. And it also brings you into like the whole recording process. Like they only had 2 tracks. 2 tracks. How are you going to record? So then what would happen is you would do the overdubs over those 2 tracks. So you'd have the backup singers come in to do that. And guess what? If you didn't get it right, you just fucked up your 2 tracks. You had to start all over again. So yeah, it's crazy. It's just crazy. The whole recording process back in the late 50s. Great movie. I highly recommend. Also, want to recommend the movie Waterloo. Don't go watch Napoleon. Fuck that movie. Go watch the movie Waterloo. It is a 1970s movie. Much better depiction of Napoleon. And they actually hired like 200,000 extras to actually redo the Battle of Waterloo. Russian soldiers, believe it or not. They were dressed them all up. And yeah, go watch that. All right, what are we on next? Oh, this. Start at 30 seconds. This is about Berhalter.
I don't think so. I think we're not trending in the right direction at the moment.
On Berhalter.
You look back at CONCACAF Nations League this summer when they were beating Canada and beating Mexico and looked like they were flying. And then lately, it just looked like that's not going on. I know that a lot of teams did struggle in the qualifying to get to the semifinal round in terms of Canada, who's now out, and Mexico, who barely got past Honduras. But
First off, most of what he said at the very beginning sounds a lot like all of us.
I know. Is he a hater? Is Dempsey a fucking Berhalter hater now?
So
he
toxic.
sounds so amazingly like what we're saying here. We're trending in the wrong direction.
And then he alluded that we were better under BJ
and Hudson.
And now we're going in the wrong direction.
Yep.
God, what did he say at the very end there before I stopped? I'm going to go back here.
teams did struggle in the qualifying.
That's right. The teams that did struggle in the qualifying outside of the U.S. Canada, who struggled against Jamaica. Guess what?
Yep.
Jamaica's no Trinidad and Tobago.
No.
And then Mexico struggled against Honduras. Guess
Mm-hmm.
what? Honduras is no Trinidad and Tobago.
Exactly.
So
those are both of those teams are way more accomplished and better than we are. Trinidad and Tobago.
Of all the teams that struggled, I mean, Costa Rica struggled against Panama. Wait, that's a good match. An equal, relatively close to equal match.
It's like saying Germany struggled against Liechtenstein, right? U.S.
For us,
struggled
yes.
against Trinidad and Tobago.
So, yeah. So it's if any team went into this qualifying window going, oh, I feel super fucking confident right now, it should have been us.
Yes,
it was us. We were super confident, and we went down to Trinidad and Tobago and once again shit the bed.
Dude, and we couldn't score for 80 minutes in the first game.
Yep.
Okay.
Nope. Preaching the choir. Let's
All right,
finish this thought here, I guess.
We can move on to 210 because that was all I wanted to prove there.
Oh, okay. That he's one of us.
He is one of us. Here is about Dest.
Played in a World Cup. That's inexcusable. And you could see the
Does he
reactions.
retain his starting place?
That's going to be interesting to see how Gregg Berhalter.
And what do you
treats
think?
that. No, I don't think for the next
him.
match you pull him. No,
Mhm.
For the next match, he's not even in contention.
He's gonna get pulled anyhow, Charlie.
He can't play next match. I think he means the next match he's able to play. Hopefully, that's what he means.
Maybe. I don't know sometimes.
Because the Nations League finals, the semifinal match, he can't play regardless. And I'm in the boat. I'm in the boat of saying that Berhalter should not include him at all in that window.
That's fine.
I know some people are like, "Oh, we won back in the finals." I'm like, well, you know what? There has to be something here.
We don't need him. Scally will work. And the thing about Charlie, man, been on the show, fucking Terry Henry took his ass to school on the other part earlier in the day, or was it later, about whether or not American players still are facing some sort of anti-Americanism in Europe when they go over there. And I just think that's, for the most part, seems to be kind of done. As long as you go out there and perform, there are plenty of teams that are willing to sign Americans now and play them. But if they don't perform, the fans are going to get all up in their fucking asshole. That's what happened at Leeds.
Mhm.
All the Leeds fans were totally fine with having Aronson there and McKennie there and Adams. They fucking love Adams. They loved Adams that whole season.
Loved.
They hate him now because he left. But it's not like they didn't give him a chance. They gave him a chance. Aronson flopped. McKennie was asked to do something he's not supposed to do, which they asked him to be the best player on the team. And that's not something he does. He's ever been asked to do on any team that he's been on, whether it be Schalke or where he's at now.
Yeah.
With
And
Juventus. So
there may be games where he is the best player from time to time.
right.
But he's not supposed to go out there and be the go-to look for me. I want the ball. I'm going to create all this magic, you know. He's going to be shifting through there. He'll be doing the small things. He'll lace a nice change of play or change of point of attack, and then
Change of field. Yeah.
you know, crash that box and hopefully get a goal. So,
But he's never been asked to be the best player on the team. And that's what they were asking him to be that. So no, he's not going to be able to do that, especially with the pieces around him at Leeds. They were awful. They were fucking awful. So, and once Adams was gone, it got just progressively worse. That's not on McKennie. All right. And then Aronson was no help. He wasn't even playing that much by then. And anyhow. Dave, my point was that Davies gets schooled by Henri later in the day, I believe it was, on that question, where he's like, they don't care. Managers just want to win at this point. They don't care what country you're from. And he's right. At this point, that's true. You might have to prove yourself. Henri said, you got to prove yourself. But once you prove yourself, they don't care what country you're from.
Well, I guess let's catch what he says. Does he talk about the anger or the anti-Americanisms on this part right here?
No, I didn't even have this for this show. I just brought that up on a peripheral basis. But my point was that Davies seems to be making arguments that he's not sure he is 100% behind. Like, this is a classic state. Like, oh, well, what would you do? Well, I'd ban him for a game. Well, he's going to be banned for a game anyhow.
So yeah. Let's just play a little bit more to see if there's anything else we missed here.
Go ahead.
You have to set an example. And Gregg Berhalter did that with Weston McKennie, and you saw how that affected him because he's never looked back since, right? He's only gotten better, and he's cemented himself into a Juve team where they didn't want him at first. So he reacted the way you want when you're faced with rock bottom decisions, right? Or decisions that don't work out well for you. And he responded the right way. Serginho Dest, that's inexcusable. And you see how the teammates reacted when he got sent off.
Yes.
I mean, I still think.
So the big difference between what's happening with what he says for Dest compared to what happened with McKennie is he says, well, Dest should miss out on, he should be suspended for a match, which he is by law of the red card, not the orange card, but the red card.
Right.
And what happened to Weston was he ended up getting kicked out of the Nashville match and then the
window
match, the next match. So he missed 2 matches in that entire window.
You got kicked for the window. Yeah.
So, and then he got brought back in the next window, and I think probably didn't start initially, if I recall correctly.
I don't remember.
But that's neither here nor there.
Right.
Same thing happened with Gio. The Gio is probably the closest thing to what he's trying to claim for it, what Dest should go through. Is Gio missed the Wales match, and then he was brought in during the England game. So he only missed one match now. It's a World Cup. How could you really punish him for more than one game?
I doubt that's going to happen. I think Dest will sit for the first game, and he will endure his punishment, and he'll be back the second game.
What if
he'll get called up?
What if Scally? Okay, if he does get called up and he's available for the finals, let's just say we make it there. What if Scally goes out and flat out balls?
Doesn't matter.
Do you think Dest comes in the next game?
It's too important right now. Dest is our starter going forward. We all know that. He needs this team to get as much chemistry built up before COPA as absolutely possible. So, yeah, you start Dest. If you're Berhalter, and that's what you're trying to do, unless you do think that what he did, which was awful, deserves more than the natural banishment of the red card. So, I mean, listen.
Jasper says, "Don't treat Dest like Gio. We don't need Mr. and Mrs. Dest Senior beefing with USSF."
Yeah, I don't think that's going to happen. But good point. And then the next one is...
Oh, real quick before we go to the next one, even. Here's why I think that Des is going to be included next window. He'll miss the semis and then would start in the finals.
Mm-hmm.
Is because Berhalter came out very apologetic when talking about him.
Oh yeah.
Oh, he made a mistake. He understands it. We have
Quit
to give players
dogpiling.
second chances. Stop it, guys.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's a completely different tone than what we saw when Weston got booted.
Yep.
And it was a completely different tone than what we saw when Gio got booted. So
And Des did everything he was asked to do. Made a public apology.
Yep.
And so I think he'll be back. He'll just serve his red card, and then he'll play in the final. And then again, it's about building chemistry.
Mm-hmm.
So all right, next one's 315, and this is about progression. Gregg's progression.
The Lord sure does know. I tell you what, let's bring in the former assistant coach of the US men's national team, Jesse Marsch, because he's with us today from Milan, Italy, where he's going to be watching that game over there. I guess I'm just interested, Jesse, because we've always talked about this American generation as the golden generation, right? So high of an expectation on this young squad's shoulders. Do you think they're progressing in the way that we should be seeing them progress?
Well, I think when you look at the last two games, they were strange matches, right? First, they achieved their objective. So that was what was most important because these were meaningful matches.
All right, sell out.
But I just feel like...
I mean, he can't really say what he thinks.
Sure. I agree with you on that.
He can't.
Well, he doesn't want to close any doors to USSF
Right.
at this point. So he's gonna sugarcoat it. He may kind of lean into kind of what he's talking about, but do it kind of from a distance and sitting on a fence. But
yeah, he's not going to drop a big steamy pile of shit on Gregg's doorstep.
Yeah,
no way. He can't.
There's a lot of dialogue around the team, them talking about inspiring and them talking about creating a movement in the country. But it all has to be rooted with playing good football and playing dynamic, playing with urgency, going after opponents.
He nailed
Too
that,
often
though.
For me, the games look...
They nailed. That's the part I wanted to get out there. Because how many times have we said on this show, stop making stupid platitudes. Just go out there and win the fucking games. And all the things you want to happen will happen on its own. You don't need to do the platitude horseshit stupidity.
I mean,
proclamations.
Does it really get their nuts pumping as far as when you come in and you're like, all right, we're going to change how Americans view American soccer.
Gregg thinks that gets Wes's nuts pumping. He thinks that gets Reyna's nuts all tingly. He thinks that gets Pulisic's fucking scrawny old, probably whatever, shriveled up nuts pumping. No, it doesn't. It does not. I'm only saying they're probably blue balls. But anyhow, we've been told he has got a girlfriend now. So, all right.
Hallelujah.
We'll chill out on that. I will. But, yeah, none of that gets anybody going. It's like the goddamn African dogs thing. Nothing. That gets no one going. It only gets people cringy.
You probably had a lot of players going, you just call us African dogs? African dogs? What?
Exactly. You think Jesse Marsch moved to fucking Salzburg and said, I want to change the way Austrians view Salzburg soccer? No, he did not. He didn't, when they were headed toward the Champions League, he didn't say, I want to change the way the rest of Europe views Austrian soccer. No, he focused on winning, playing well. That's all he cared about. And listen, I'm not a huge Jesse Marsch system guy either. I don't like his system. I'm not a big fan of it. But at least he's not full of shit on this. He said, basically, we got the mission accomplished, because that's what he's got to say. But he's going to say, but, ... And here's the but.
Doesn't he also talk, maybe I'm mixing up interviews, but doesn't he also talk about how you shouldn't play a system style with the national team?
He has said that.
Oh.
I
thought I remember that coming out here soon, but
we have always told him, Jesse, you come to coach the U.S. soccer team, you better not bring your fucking system. And so he better not, because he's probably going to get a chance as long as he keeps, rubbing the right nut sacks.
What are you talking about, Derek? He likes where he's at now. He's a pundit. He's watching soccer games in Europe. He's waiting for the next coaching gig in Europe. Maybe coaching jig like that. The next coach, guys. So we have a comment up here that says the next behind the crest. Nuts are pumping episode.
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, I don't know how much more of this we need to play because that's all I want to get to. And the next one is Berhalter's Leash, which is at 5:10. How long is Berhalter's Leash?
LB says TNT changed the way the world views American soccer.
Yeah, they sure did. Because people saw that on their ticker, and they're like, the U.S. lost Trinidad and Tobago again? What?
This generation's Jamaica. You remember we used to struggle hardcore with Jamaica during the 2000s.
Oh, we used to struggle with Trinidad and Tobago qualifying.
Enough.
Has he done enough?
Yeah, I mean, listen, that's not for me to say.
Yeah,
but I will say this. We've talked a lot about this golden generation, them being so talented. They don't have a signature win yet, right? They don't have a win against a big opponent where you can look at it and go, yeah, that was an incredible performance, and that shows that this team is ready for the biggest games. And that's what Copa America has to be for us. It has to be the moment where this group of players, they put all this idea of potential and all the talk about
that's
what
it.
they can.
It's like, okay, no, we don't have a signature win. I mean, unless you want to count the time we absolutely destroyed Mexico and made them look like a third world nation. But outside of that, we don't have wins against teams that in many cases away in CONCACAF we should be beating. We don't even have those wins during Gregg's time. Can we start doing that?
I guess
Can
in Gregg's defense, previous national teams never got those wins either.
Dude, we just played Germany. Yes, we did.
Wait, what?
Under Klinsmann, we defeated Germany. We beat Italy.
Derek, you're missing you're conflating 2 points here, Derek. You just mentioned how we're not even going to CONCACAF nations and beating them away. When
in that case,
and
that's
I said
true.
Previous teams, we've never had those wins either.
But this wasn't this team. You know, this team should be doing that. But then we got fucking Gregg crying before we even go there. Oh, it's so hard there. We're going to have a really tough time. You know, they cut the grass in a way we don't like. And then, you know, they make it hard for us to sleep. And then, you know, there's like all these fans and they're really negative. And it's really hard to go play in Trinidad. And it's really hard to go play in El Salvador. Like, stop talking like that, you fucking moron. Start saying we expect to win wherever we fucking go. And we're going to go win. That to us, we don't need to hear that shit. That team needs to hear that shit. They don't need to hear you whining and bitching to the fucking media about how hard it is to go play away in CONCACAF, you little pussy.
Again, you don't necessarily want to give the opposition fodder, you know, for
you don't have to tell us that.
All you have to do is come out and say, hey, you know, CONCACAF on the road, it's going to be a tough win, but I feel like we can go in there and get a good result.
That's not
something
what we
simple
get.
Like that. Oh, I know that's not what we get. I'm saying that's all you really have to say.
We get Gregg going, you know, it's really hard.
You know,
when you go to El Salvador, they cut the grass and it's funny, and the fields are bumpy, and you know, there are all these things that we got to overcome when we go there. Travel's hard. No, dude, you guys, your team is light years better than that team, and they didn't even play a low block against us. And you still couldn't fucking win in El Salvador, for Christ's sake. Yeah, enough excuses.
As far as, I mean, I know it's not the wins in Italy and Germany and Holland and all that shit.
That we had under Klinsmann.
Yeah. I will say, though, a match that I'll probably remember, similar to like the Algeria win in the World Cup in 2010, the First Nations League final, Mexico versus U.S., I mean, it was against a weakened Mexico team. I understand that, but it was just the scenes of getting a 3-2 lead after coming back, both goals. The PK from Pulisic, and him running with everybody around him took his shirt off and everything. He had the undershirt, whatnot, and then you had the immediate follow-up PK save. I mean, again, it's against a lesser opponent comparably, and I know that he's talking about like the big teams. We have these big victories against them. That's really going to say we're ready for the big time. But if I'm trying to pick one game out of the cycle, I guess that'd be mine.
To me, this only signature game that we've had, and it wasn't under Gregg, was the absolute demolition and domination of Mexico under BJ.
Yeah, well, I mean, I couldn't lump that in this current cycle. Well,
it was like,
you know what?
We were playing against school kids.
He doesn't specify Gregg when he talks about this. He's talking about the golden generation doesn't have this signature win. So yes, that would classify as what you were saying. Yes,
because not only was it a win, it just was so much a total domination of Mexico. In my lifetime, we've had wins against Mexico, obviously, but we have never dominated them and made them look like they were a whole level, 2 levels below us. So, but no, do we have any other signature wins? We don't, but it'd be nice to get one in Copa America. But can we start by just defeating minnows in our own fucking federation in away games? Can we just start destroying Trinidad Tobago 6-0 at home and away? And have a 12-0 aggregate, maybe 4. I'll take an 8-0 aggregate. But we didn't even get that shit. We had to tremble through the last 20 minutes of that last game, wondering if, oh my God, is this really going to go and turn it? Oh my God. It was like watching the Hindenburg crash, right?
It's one of those things where like you go into halftime and it's 1-1. Yes, you're down a man, but I want Gregg at that point to be like the Hawks coach from Mighty Ducks 1. Where he's like, hey, if you lose to these losers, none of you are coming back next season.
Yeah, I mean, in the locker room, it just cannot be acceptable to lose those games. And like what you say to the media is another thing. Of course, obviously, you're not going to diss the team you're playing.
Jasper's got it right here.
These games are never easy, but we're confident in our ability, and I expect a good performance from my team, and a win is what I would add, and a victory, and 3 points. I would add that, and that's what I expect from my team, because they're not going to harp on that. Of course he's going to go in there. He wants 3 points. But, I mean, you're not going to go in there and badmouth the team. Honduras are shitty compared to us. They suck compared to us. Look at our lineup compared to their lineup. We are fucking the bee's knees, and they suck. No, I'm not expecting him to say that to the media. But what I don't want to hear is a lot of whiny-ass excuses about how difficult it is to travel and play in CONCACAF. Yes, it's difficult, but your team is so much better on paper than the other team.
Mm-hmm.
And your problem is translating what's on paper to an easy victory or a comfortable victory or a domination of the other team in their backyard. Last time I checked, and this was in the movie Hoosiers, remember when they went to the finals? What did the coach do? They were playing in a Indianapolis field house, right? And he took the team out and he measured the distance from the rim to the floor and the distance from the rim to the free throw line and said, look, it's all the same, dude.
Same as ours.
It's the same. Okay, the grass is a little thicker. Oh, well.
They tried to do that in Ted Lasso, too, when they went to Wembley. Like, yeah look at that. It's kind of looks like our pitch. It's actually the same size as our pitch. He goes, actually, it's not.
Yeah, I know. It's bigger. And it is. I get it. It's not exactly the same. Yes, they do play on thinner fields when they go away, and the grass is probably longer. Yes, I get it. But come on. Come on. Really?
Yeah.
Enough of this shit. And that's all I got from this.
Go because it's going to lead into the next
the Heath
tweet here. Go ahead and what's no, not the Heath comment, yes, but what's the timestamp for this one?
We already played it. That's it. We're done.
You said you had the one where we talk about the next podcast.
Yes, that's at 7 minutes, but I thought you had that covered on another one.
Well, so. I mean, we don't have to play it there, but I've got it pulled up here. So 7 minutes.
7 minutes. Yeah, it's the new show.
Yeah, the new show, guys, on CBS. Sports Golazo.
Poor Heath.
CBS Sports is launching a new podcast next month called
how many jobs you got, Charlie?
Call It What You Want is the name of the podcast. So you
First off, how does Charlie find time to watch games and be on all these shows?
Oh, he's not on that many shows. He'll be fine. But I think the sad thing is that Davies and Conrad are teaming up with a guy, Jesse Marsch, on a show where Jimmy's been pretty traditionally harsh on Gregg. I mean, fairly. And so is Davies. And Marsch really won't be able to contribute in that criticism in any way. He can't. So I don't know how this is going to work out, because Marsch is going to be seen on that show as a tippy-toer, whereas will that make Jimmy a tippy-toer? I doubt it'll make Davies a tippy-toer, but will it make Jimmy a little more tentative about his criticism, because he knows that Jesse can't validate that. He can't. If he validates any of the severe criticism that we've heard from Jimmy about Berhalter, that's on Marsch. That's a bad look for Marsch. So I don't know how this works.
Conrad's even talked about how he's been at times blackballed from interviews and stuff like that because of the shit he's saying. So it's a dangerous game, man. When you start putting yourself out on the internet like that, I mean, we have no concerns because what the fuck are they going to do to us?
Right, fuck them.
Say whatever you want. But I mean, Marsch, even though I know that he has hopes to continue coaching in Europe and stuff like that, I'm sure he has ambitions to coach the United States national team. He talks about it briefly in this interview. But it's like sort of like that's a me down the road type of thing. But if you go on to a podcast that's going to be actively broadcasting your opinions on stuff, I mean, at some point you're going to rub someone the wrong way.
You cannot be compromised, and he is. Jesse's compromised. Davies has no intentions of ever working for U.S. Soccer. Conrad did, maybe at some point, but I doubt he does now. And Marsch is compromised. So that's not going to be, I don't think, a healthy show.
Although I wonder if he's already, it's I mean, obviously behind closed doors, we wouldn't know this by means. I wonder if he kind of already screwed himself over somewhere with.
I don't think so.
I'm just saying. I'm speculating here.
Yeah, I don't think so.
He plays the idea of coaching the national team down in the interview in this interview here.
He's
and then he talks about how he likes what he's doing now. He's doing punditry. He's doing a podcast. I mean, I almost wonder if there's a shift in what he's wanting to do.
But then he says, "But you never write it off."
Well, sure, of course you're going to say that.
So at the end, he's like, "But you never write opportunities off." So I just think that show's not going to be the same show with him there. Not that he's provided a whole lot of heat on Berhalter, because he did.
I think if you go back and rewatch some of the earlier shows, I think all of them were kind of tiptoeing around stuff. So I think it's going to be advanced Conrad and Davies, and you're going to have beginning of podcast Marsch trying to tiptoe around. And I think at some point, the foot's going to go in the mouth.
I think at some point Marsch is going to get really uncomfortable on that show if Davies and Conrad continue the criticism at the same level that they were at before.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't see Davies changing. Jimmy he can self-regulate, but I don't see Davies having any inclination about what self-regulation means. I really don't. I mean, he also got one button on, and that's it.
Again, though, what's going to stop his career moving forward at this point, as far as the pundit is concerned? He has no, as far as I can tell, he has no ambitions of coaching or being part of USSF. So
he doesn't.
You just continue going the media route, and yes, being very vocal about it is what's going to jump you up into the,
It's got to be more calculated about it, though. That's all I'm saying. Davies, not calculated as in safe, but I think he needs to work out his arguments before opening his mouth. How many times have we seen Charlie Davies completely flip-flop on an issue? A lot.
PFOC, yeah. Can dribble. He can't even dribble.
Yep. So, and then the whole thing about U.S. players in Europe. I mean, he got stomped out on that one. And yeah, so we'll see. We'll see how it works out. What happens to Pierce? Pierce has a job with MLS. He calls MLS games. So, yeah, there you go, Jackie D. So he's fine, but he still was hurt because nobody called him, apparently, and told him he wasn't going to be part of
the game back together.
Yeah, that he wasn't a part of. I'm surprised Jimmy didn't call him and say, listen, Heath, new show. I have to say, you're not on it. And I just want to say, brother, I fought to get you on the show. And
we have no idea if he did it or not. I mean, yeah, I know that Jimmy.
No, but Heath was surprised. He didn't hear about it until this announcement on CBS.
Well,
I tweeted.
I've got the tweet up, and I think that he's just responding to the tweet. I'd be shocked if he didn't know about it beforehand. But either way, let's hear about the podcast first off before we start going to the Heath.
Can join Jesse, Charlie, Jimmy Conrad. That's the other member of this team, right? Your guys' take on what every U.S. men's national team fan is talking about, both stateside and overseas.
That's a dangerous topic to hit. What the U.S. men's national team fans are talking about.
Yeah, we'll see.
They're going to be the mainstream media version of us in that sense, where we're just pulling up people's tweets and saying, like, look at this asshole.
It's going to take them a long time to build viewership. Long time. Look how long it took them the first time.
Yeah.
To build a
But I wonder if they'll have a bit of a jump start. But still.
No guarantees. I doubt it.
So, yeah. So, Heath, Davies, and Conrad.
Yeah, I don't think we need to play any more of this. We've already talked. We talked about what Jesse said.
If
you want to bring up the tweet, that's fine. We'll get that done with, because to me it sounded like Heath was a little, well, this is a nice warm piece of humble pie, but I do look forward to catching this new podcast soon. After 300 plus hits episodes across greater CBS networks, I've been for the time being cut from the squad. I am, however, grateful for the amazing shows, opportunities, plus staff. Yeah. So, okay. Maybe he wasn't surprised, but I
think he was holding his response until it became public.
Mm-hmm.
And then he has all the right to say, hey, I've been a part of this group. He got axed, and now they're bringing it back together, but they're replacing me with Jesse. Where the fuck did Jesse come from? Why is he sitting on the sideline so much right now? Why isn't he out there coaching?
No offense to Heath at all, because he did on occasion have some good points, but he really wasn't the, I don't know how to put it, but he didn't bring anything like really solid to the show. So I understand why he was cut.
I think I think him and Jimmy offered opposite type of approaches and types of energy, but I think that was the complementary aspect, is that they're not the same person. You have two people that are super energetic, like Conrad is on the show, and at that point it's just battling for space.
He always looked uncomfortable too.
Well, not everybody's built for this.
I get it, but he didn't ever look like he fit in, even with that show. He was always sort of semi-timid. And I think he does a good job on the MLS broadcasts. So let him do that, because I've watched a couple of games with him calling the game, and I think he's doing a pretty good job. So
I found that's rarely a long-term gig, though. Usually
I get it.
Years, and then all of a sudden you're out.
Well, then become a better podcaster. That's all I would say.
That's my take right now. Is he needs to reach out to somebody that he is comfortable with again. And I think when it was just him and Jimmy, I think that was a perfectly fine podcast. I think once he started adding people into it, the chemistry got shook up a bit.
Okay, can I ask you, when did Heath ever get worked up? Ever? And
when Davies got brought in.
No, Davies got worked up. Heath timidly.
There's a number of times where he got heated too. But it's a different type of heat, though.
Dude, I mean, he always looked uncomfortable with conflict. Always.
Sure.
So, like, part of having a podcast is having opinions up on the screen you disagree with and fucking hammering them if you got to. And he never hammered anything. So, I don't know. It's just wasn't his gig. And I think he's doing a good job what he's doing. It may not be forever covering MLS games, but I think he's had some stupid takes,
Dude,
though. He certainly did.
I will say
Yes.
everybody on that show, except for Jimmy. I don't know if Jimmy may have had some boneheaded.
I'm trying to think of any Jimmy
takes.
might have had.
I can't think of many, if any. But I think Davies and him and Pierce all had.
Oh, they had some horrible.
All
takes.
had some horrible takes. So I mean, it wasn't just Heath on that front.
Yeah, Jimmy's the only one I can think of who was kind of like not middle of the road, but never really said anything magnificently stupid.
The only time we ever called out a boneheaded opinion was the formations. We're talking about formations here.
Well, and the Disneyland formations, which, by the way, they stopped doing after we criticized it.
Do you think these people actually watch our show?
I don't know.
Some people might snip it and say, "Hey, look, these guys are calling you out."
They're not going to admit it. They're not going to admit it. Yeah, people did snip parts of me saying stuff about what Jimmy said when I disagree with him, and Jimmy will write me back about it.
Mm-hmm.
And that was fun because Jimmy never took it personally. But I think that, I still don't see Jesse Marsch being the replacement for Heath because he's going to be stifled like Jermaine Jones would if he were on the show by the future. The future for Jesse Marsch in U.S. soccer screams yes. So he can't ruin that in any way by criticizing Gregg in any form. Like his nibble of criticism there was, hey, we don't have a signature win yet. Okay, yeah, we don't. But I disagree. We kind of do. But the real problem is we're not crushing teams we should crush.
Yep.
We play down to the opponent. So that's the real problem. Can we start there before we start getting wins against Germany and whatever? Let's start crushing teams we're supposed to crush first. So
it's just fascinating that we play these smaller countries like the Trinidad and Tobagos, everybody else, the Panama, Costa Ricas and stuff. When we're playing them at home, we're a completely different minded team. But when we go on the road to them, all of a sudden it's like, oh God, we can't. We're growing to Costa Rica. Oh man,
we have struggled at home on occasion too, like getting started and getting out of the box against some of those teams too. We eventually win, but we have struggled.
We wear their asses down.
All right, just a real quick rundown. CCV played today, 90 minutes and lost to Lazio. One of the goals you could kind of say was his fault. Pulisic, 90 minutes and a loss versus Dortmund. Pulisic had a really good first half. So I thought he played pretty good. Just me. Reyna was in the 18, didn't play. Musa, red card, so he didn't play. Haji Wright went 90 at left winger and got a goal for Coventry. So Haji's doing Haji things right now. Coventry, I mean, if he keeps this up, he's going to make an argument for himself. Dwayne Holmes in the 18, and they lost the first game. Dwayne Holmes hasn't started for Preston North End in a long time, and they had to make some changes because they've been going down the tubes. Well, this didn't help. They lost again. Gooch, 90 and a loss at right back. Cannon was back for the last 30 and a win for QPR, 4-2 win. Charlie Kelman went 20. So he's getting more time, Charlie Kelman, the young American at QPR. Tillman, we already talked about that.
Yep.
Bello went, I watched this game today, Lask versus Liverpool. Bello looked a little lethargic here and there, but then he created in the second half one of the best opportunities Lask had in that game. And
are you starting to change your mind?
No, he was still yanked at the 61st minute for a reason. Defensively, he was still a liability. McKenzie, you're going to be against Liverpool, but they switched to a back three in the last 30 minutes of the game. So they pulled Bello and they brought in a more offensive-minded player on the left. McKenzie was in the 18 for Genk and their loss. Why? I don't know. Why? He was benched. Dante Polvara, 90 minutes and a tie for Aberdeen. And Cardoso went 63 What are my notes? I can't even actually read them. Anyhow, you went 63 for International and don't have a result here for it. I think it's a win, but I can't read my writing. All right. Novakovic went 71 for Lecce in the Serie B in a tie. Did not score, did not assist. And D. Augustini, again, played 45 for Lazio's U19 in a loss to Celtics U19s in the UEFA Youth League. So, player to keep an eye on, young center forward at Lazio. That's it, folks.
I think this is where Drill got it wrong as far as who's coming to or back to MLS.
Yeah,
is you start looking at the players like the Novakovic's,
yes,
the Sotos. You know, at some point, Soto's got to sit there and go, I'm making less money at this
Klagenfurt,
at the second division Austrian team or
no,
whatever.
first division. They're still in the first
whatever.
division. Yeah,
I'm making less money here than I would if I were to go to MLS.
Dude, he's a USL player right now. He hasn't even proved he could make an MLS team, right?
I know.
So,
But that's my point being is you're looking at arguably starters for USSF or US men's national team at points, and you're like, I think they're coming back to MLS. And you're like, what's wrong with you?
some guys do need to come back, and even that's not going to help them. So we've seen that with Ledesma and other players. So Hoppy finally started making a dent and getting starts at San Jose, but even took him a while to settle into MLS after not playing for, not playing for any team he was with. I mean, he played on occasion, but on occasion ain't what he's looking for. He's looking for starts. So, all right. The U15s beat Portugal 2-1 at the UEFA Development Tournament. Yeah, that's nice. Nice to hear. That's good. That's a good win.
That's what we need to see. Yeah, we need
good win
against
a good team. So
that's the win that Marsch was talking about, right? We got one.
Sorry, Greg didn't have much to do with that. But
it's a system, Derek. You don't know that.
It is a system. That's true. So,
Derek, with the holiday season coming around the corner, I wanted to get you a present. I'm going to go ahead and spoil it right now. Okay.
You got me a present.
Yeah.
All right.
I know that you have an issue with putting too much toothpaste on your toothbrush, and it gets all in your sink, and it just because of the hassle every Sunday you have to clean up your sink. It gets pretty gross.
Okay.
So I got you this.
I already like it. I like it. After watching Gizmo poop for 22 years or 15 years, if it ever came out white, though, you need to take your dog to the vet immediately.
Yeah?
It should not come out that color at all. All right. That's really
Jackie D asked if Soto would start in MLS. No.
He can't even start at Klagenfurt, dude.
No.
Do you realize that Klagenfurt is like one of the bottom dwellers generally of Austria? And I don't know if he's still got that testicular hernia or whatever's going on with him, but I mean, he's not making 18s for Klagenfurt.
Yeah. Quite frankly, he's got like 90 minutes in the last 3 years of playing time. He's not coming to MLS. USL is going to be his most viable option.
Right.
So,
yeah. If he comes to MLS, he will be cut and he will go play at USL.
Just like everywhere else in Europe, he'll get maybe one season where he rides pine the entire year and then he gets dropped.
I mean, you do understand that he plays at Klagenfurt in Austria, right? How did he get there? If you ask yourself that question, then you also know the answer. How did he get there? Because you got to drop pretty low on people's radars and people's respect for your play to be transferred to Klagenfurt in Austria, and then not be a starter, then not get to play.
Starter and a bottom tier of SPL.
Yes, I know.
I mean,
yes.
Again, he's gone like 3 years, barely getting minutes at all.
And you have to keep into context, coaches, wherever he has gone, have also criticized him for his work rate, his hard work at practice, his attitude. Maybe he needs to look in the mirror. Klagenfurt sounds like a fake name, but it isn't.
You know, there are sometimes when Derek's going through his list and he starts talking about people, I really do think he's making some of that shit up.
But I'm
like,
not.
What's the Turkey team again? I always bring it up.
Antalyaspor?
Yeah, what's the kid's name that plays for them?
Oh, no, because Haji Wright played for Antalyaspor.
Yeah.
You were talking about, I've lost track of that kid. Lost track of him.
I mean, it just sounds like he was just going. I'm like,
it's not that hard to pronounce.
No, it sounds fake. I mean, I really think I even brought up all the time you brought up. I'm like, that's a fake team. That's a fake player.
No, it's not. Listen, Klagenfurt is a beautiful little town. It's a village / town, small city, with mountains.
Sorry, guys.
With a lake near it and mountains and hills. It's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. So I hope he's enjoying the scenery, because that's about all he can enjoy out in Klagenfurt, unless he's got some Austrian chick hanging out with him, which he might, or a stepsister visited. Which brings us to the end of the show, because at 3 hours and 1 minute, we are absolutely dipshits for being on here this long.
I'm looking at all these names in the Turkish league to try to find it again, and they all look fake to me.
I think they are still in the
first
division. If you want to pop it up, I'll tell you who they are.
Yep.
Ankaragatu. It just
there it is.
Ankaragatu. Yeah.
I don't see them in this.
Oh, they got relegated?
Oh, wait, no, there it is. Ankaragacu.
Yeah, Ankaragatu.
Yeah, they're currently 11th.
Okay, good for them. You want to click on them and see if that American kid still plays there? I forgot his name.
Google doesn't even have the fucking.
There it is. Roster.
They don't have a roster. Hold on. I gotta.
Oh, surely.
Hang on. Give me a second.
Wikipedia. They've got it for sure.
Here we go. All right, 1 sec. Everybody's happy we made a 3-hour show.
That's nice, but it's 11:17.
All right, so let's see here. Looking at the starting lineup.
Too small. Can't see. Which one's on Karagachu? Bottom one?
Yeah.
I think Wikipedia would work better. I don't see him. He's not on there. Substitutes.
This side.
Okay. No. Oh, there's a guy named Gary Rodriguez on the team. That doesn't sound very Turkish. Yeah, he's not on there anymore. So he may have left. I can't remember what the player's name was anymore. Just drifted out of my head.
There's a long one. It went right with the name of the team.
Yeah. Anyhow, it is what it is. I want to thank everybody who hung out with us for 3 hours and 3 minutes tonight. Kind of crazy. I thought this would be a long show, but I was thinking more around 2 hours and 15 minutes. No, 3 hours. Probably because I ranted like an idiot. But you know what? Shit pisses me off. Thanks, Brett. Needless to say, join us on Monday. We'll see what happens this weekend. Make sure you like and subscribe, share it with your grandma, as usual. And we'll be back with more stepsister antics on Monday. And until then, have a fabulous weekend and a happy beginning to the holiday December season. Mwah!
But she's a trap. She's an unsung novel. Turn a lap and get your whole world dazzled on the line, or a phone call with or without wine.
That hurt.
I'm tuned in like crazy, and I'm pretending like I know what they're doing, and I'm
The articulate and intelligent.
Gregg's a bitch. That's all.
I find them offensive as hell.
I've never been a fan.
Yeah, fuck that.